Chapter 934. The news of the retreat of the sea demon clans and the safe release of the humans on the islands had spread throughout the Cloud Realm. Almost everyone knew about it. No way. Those savage sea demons retreated just like that? They didn't ask for anything? From all the information it seems so. They didn't ask for anything. Are you kidding me? Isn't this nonsense? Right, didn't they ask Xia Ping to release the mermaid princess? Their words were very savage and seemed like they wouldn't stop until one side was dead. Why don't they ask for her release now? I heard that Xia Ping personally forced the sea demons to retreat and forced them to sign a humiliating agreement. In the end, they gave up on rescuing the mermaid princess. Just what method did Xia Ping use? Force the sea demons to retreat? Who doesn't know how savage these sea demons are? They aren't even afraid of kings. Are they afraid of a young man like Xia Ping? No matter how I think about it, it doesn't make sense. There are too many inside stories. Many humans were in an uproar when they heard the news. Previously, the captives had been captured by the sea demons. This matter had been blown out of proportion. Many people thought that the captives would most likely die in the hands of the sea demons. But now they had left unscathed. This was a bit anticlimactic. Even if they weren't involved, they could sense something fishy was going on. Maybe there was some kind of deal. At this time, the captives from Orchid Island had also returned to their homes. They thought they could live in peace. Who knew that trouble had just begun? News reporters from all over the world, as well as people who were extremely curious about this matter, actually boarded spaceships and headed to the islands to find out what was going on. Immediately, many of the island's residents were blocked and surrounded by the reporters. "Friend, may I ask how you felt when you were captured by the sea demons?" A reporter immediately caught a member of the Wang family and asked, "What feeling? Was there a need to ask?" It was worse than death. All kinds of memories from before their deaths flashed before their eyes. Some people were so scared that they peed themselves or fainted on the ground. There were all kinds of situations. Many members of the Wang family were speechless and didn't know how to answer. This kind of feeling was too humiliating. They were too ashamed to speak. It was a bit embarrassing for the king families. By the way, I heard that when you were captured, you were so scared that you wet your pants and begged the sirens for mercy. Is that true? A gossip reporter asked sinisterly. That's not true. Where did you hear that from? The group of Wang family descendants flatly denied it. They wanted nothing more than to bite this gossipy reporter to death. If he really admitted it, wouldn't he be embarrassing himself in front of the entire nation? We got the information from an insider. As for who it is, it's not convenient for us to tell you. The gossip reporter's eyes flickered, as if he didn't want to reveal the identity of this insider. Bullshit internal personnel, was it Xia Ping, that bitch, who said it? The faces of the Wang family juniors all turned green. Xia Ping's face instinctively appeared in their minds, and they all unanimously felt that it was this bastard who told the news to these reporters. Otherwise, how could he say it so clearly and in such detail? Moreover, he specifically pointed out the ugly side of them, causing them a serious blow both physically and mentally. However, thinking about it carefully, their ancestor was currently in the honeymoon period with this bastard Xia Ping. No matter how shameless that bastard was, he probably wouldn't expose them at this time. Although they didn't know if this so-called insider was fabricated by this gossip reporter, it didn't stop them from denying it. They directly said, "Although I don't know where you got this useless information from, we were ultimately heroes facing those evil and cruel sirens until the very last moment. You can know from the result. Those sirens fled with their tails between their legs and we were released safely. As for the process, you can imagine it yourself. They constantly maintained their righteous side, and would never admit that they had begged the sirens for mercy. My friend, how did you manage to escape and come back?" "That's right. So many ferocious sirens came to kidnap you, but now they retreated with their tails between their legs. They didn't do anything. What's the inside story? Did you make some kind of secret deal with the sea demons? That's why the sea demons retreated? Did you sign some kind of treaty that betrayed your country for glory?" Many reporters bombarded them with questions like a machine gun, overwhelming them. No comment. No comment on this matter. The group of Wang family descendants kept their mouths shut. They couldn't say a single word about the inside story. Otherwise they would lose all the face of their king families. At this moment, in the villa on the giant island, Mermaid Princess Yuchichi was also watching the television in the living room. The television was showing the scene of the reporter interviewing the people on the island. She had also heard the news of the sirens retreating. The originally majestic army of sirens was now all bark and no bite. They retreated one by one and no one cared about her who was in the center of the storm. Damn it. What did this human do? Why did they all run away? Yu Qiqi gritted her teeth, feeling extremely indignant. If even this couldn't save her, did her father have to personally make a move? If even her father couldn't save her, then she would have to work like a slave for this human for the rest of her life. She suddenly felt that her future was dark. The most unlucky thing in her life was probably meeting this despicable, shameless human in the Shark Demon King's palace. Su Ji and Jianghu also saw this news. They were speechless and in awe. Originally they thought that Xia Ping would definitely be in trouble this time. They didn't expect that this matter would end so angrily. Although they didn't know what happened, they could imagine that Xia Ping must have played a big role in it. Otherwise, how could these ferocious sirens retreat just like that? At this time, Xia Ping didn't care about anything else. He came to the huge warehouse of the villa. The materials he bought from the giant company for the spaceship were all moved here. They almost filled up the warehouse. From afar it looked like a small mountain. And this was only a part of it. There were still many more materials that would be moved here. Chapter 935. Don't worry, it's enough. Corinne's virtual projection jumped out and landed on Xia Ping's shoulder. This is just the initial modification material for the spaceship. It's already enough to meet the requirements. By the way, I also modified the internal AI program of the batch of nano-engineered robots I asked you to buy. The efficiency has been increased by about 10,000 times, and they can have simple human intelligence. I've inputted the engineering drawings of the spaceship into their chips. Then these nano-engineered robots will automatically modify the spaceship, transport materials, and do assembly line work. Even if I'm not here, they will work diligently like worker ants. 3 months, it should be done in about 3 months. It held up 3 fingers. At this moment, the moon god was lying quietly in the warehouse. Countless nanoscale engineering robots were crawling around it. They were like ants densely packed together. Some were disassembling and transporting materials. Some were welding and adjusting the electric circuit. Some were decorating the spaceship's interior. Although it looked very messy, in fact they were very organized, completely following the design drawings. This was already precise to the nano level. This was simply a futuristic project. It was extremely sci-fi. Amazing. Xia Ping was full of admiration. As expected of a brain that had surpassed the cloud realm by many years. Just the technology used to modify these nano-engineered robots was already far beyond the reach of humans. Instilling some engineering knowledge into these nano-engineered robots was equivalent to creating a human engineer in an instant. And these nanorobots numbered in the tens of thousands, which was equivalent to having tens of thousands of elite human engineers. This saved a lot of manpower and material resources. Next, they didn't need to do anything. It was enough for these nano-engineered robots to work. Moreover, these robots could work 24 hours a day as long as they had energy. They didn't need to rest at all. Their efficiency had increased by who knew how many times. If such intelligent nano-engineered robots were taken out, it would probably revolutionize the entire human society. Science and technology would undergo earth-shaking changes. Of course, don't you know who I am? This is as easy as flipping my hand. Corinne was very proud with his hands on his hips. Finally, there was something he could do in front of this demon. Previously, he was so shocked by this demon that he even doubted his cat life. With this spaceship, although we can't travel through a galaxy, we can travel through the nearby planets. We can go to the planets near the cloud realm to take a look. This will greatly broaden our horizons. Xia Ping clenched his fists. Going to other planets and exploring unknown environments was simply one of the ultimate dreams of mankind. Moreover, the universe was extremely vast and boundless. There were many peculiar planets, and every single one of them had innumerable treasures. They were like unexplored treasures waiting for Xia Ping to explore. If he was able to obtain even more treasures, then his chances of breaking through into the king realm would be even greater. DD. At this time, the system's voice also came out. Congratulations to the host, you have angered a large number of Siren Grandmasters. This time, you have gained a total of 50 million hatred points. I hope the host will continue to work hard. 50 million hate points? Xia Ping curled his lips. He didn't think it was too little. After all, he had only offended some grandmasters this time. There was a limit to the amount of hatred he could get. It was still a little far from the king realm. But even so, coupled with the previous hatred value, he had a total of 630 million hatred value. After a period of time, he estimated that he would have 1 billion hatred value. At that time he would be able to get another big gift bag from the system, but he didn't know what the next big gift bag would be. This made Xiaoping very much look forward to it. Whoosh. As soon as the system's voice ended, the communicator on his body immediately rang. With a snap, Xiaoping turned on his communicator, and a virtual projection appeared in front of him. Immediately, the figure that appeared in front of him was the King Zhao Zhong, the big shot of the giant company. Xiaoping. The King Zhao Zhong looked at Xiaoping with a kind face, like an old man looking at his grandson, very kind. Elder Zhao. Xiaoping spoke very respectfully. He knew that this old man was very good to him and was a senior worthy of respect. He was such a person. If people respected him, he would respect them tenfold. This time, I have a big matter to look for you. Zhao Zhong smiled slightly. A big matter? Xiaoping was stunned. He didn't ask and just looked at Zhao Zhong. Zhao Zhong didn't seem to have any intention of letting Xiaoping answer, nor did he intend to keep him in suspense. He said directly, I'll just say it directly. The leader of the giant company has come to see you. What? Hearing this, Xiaoping was shocked and looked at Zhao Zhong in shock. Although Zhao Zhong's tone was very calm, this sentence was earth-shattering. The leader of the giant company, Gu Shi, had come. What kind of existence was that? The other party was an old monster who had survived from the great era of mankind until today. He had long been promoted to the realm of the invincible king. He was a legend who had lived for more than 1,000 years and had experienced several wars of life and death for mankind. If it weren't for the existence of this old man, it was unknown how many human beings would have died. In the textbooks of Yanhuang Star, in many historical books and even on TV, the figure of this invincible king had appeared. This was a big shot whose influence affected all aspects of human society. It could be said that if such a person sneezed, the entire cloud realm would catch a cold for 3 days. Not to mention that the other party was the leader of the giant company, a super big shot who controlled one of the 3 superpowers of the human world. Generally speaking, ordinary people were not qualified to see him at all. Even grandmasters were not qualified. Only the king could barely meet him, and even if they wanted to meet, it would depend on the other party's mood. What the hell is going on? Since he was about to meet such a big shot, even if Xiaoping didn't care, he had to ask what was going on. After all, such a big shot would not meet him for no reason. Anyone would feel a little excited to meet a legend from the textbooks. This is actually a gathering. The 3 giants of the 3 major human organizations will meet, Zhao Zhong said in a deep voice. At that time, the leader of the Aurora Corporation, Sun Yangdao, and the leader of the Life Corporation, Lu Wuming, will also attend. Many elite human grandmasters will also appear. His eyes flickered, indicating that this matter was extremely important. 3 giants. Xiaoping was speechless. These 3 super organizations covered all aspects of human society, controlling all aspects of human politics, economy, and military. And the meeting of these 3 super organizations was no less than the meeting of the leaders of the 3 super countries on Earth in his previous life. This could affect the lifeline of the entire planet. Remember, at such a gathering, don't cause trouble. You must keep a low profile, Zhao Zhong warned. Xiaoping patted his chest. Don't worry. Don't you know who I am? I am the most low-key person. Chapter 936. Endless Sea, Flaming Huang Island. This was the largest island in human territory, more than 10 times the size of Giant Island. It was also the capital of the human race in the Cloud Realm, a true super city with 100 million people living there. It could be said that this island was simply a war fortress. Even if countless demon kings attacked together for 10 days and 10 nights, they would not be able to break through. It was equivalent to the crystallization of human technology. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. At this time, the already busy airport of Flaming Huang Island welcomed spaceships from all over the Cloud Realm. The spaceships landed one after another. Countless soldiers were on standby, blocking all means of transportation. Even if a fly wanted to pass through it, it would be an impossible thing. Many passengers also noticed this situation. What's going on? The security at the airport seems to be especially tight today. I heard that a big shot is coming. The entire Flaming Huang Island is on high alert. It can't be. What kind of big shot is coming? I'm not sure. Maybe it's a gathering of the higher-ups. Otherwise, there wouldn't be such a lineup. Many passengers saw the soldiers all around, all armed with real guns. The security was extremely strict. They checked every suspicious person passing by. If there was anything wrong, they would be caught and interrogated. Although the security was usually strict, it was definitely not as crazy as today. Look, the people on the spaceships are coming down. Some people noticed that many spaceships had landed in the distance. It seemed that some soldiers were coming forward to welcome them. Many people also walked out of the spaceships. Oh my God, all of them are masters. What's going on? Someone cried out in surprise. Even in the cloud realm, a grandmaster was considered an incredible figure. They could be regarded as generals and the strongest people below the king realm. It was not an undeserved reputation. Basically, this was the peak that ordinary people could reach. Not only masters but even the king-level masters have appeared. And so many of them. I've seen them on TV before. Some people also recognize the identity of some of the kings. Only a small number of human kings, due to various reasons, would not be known. Most of the human kings were basically known. After all, they were the heroes of the human race. Therefore, many people quickly recognized the identity of some of the human kings. Amazing. Masters have gathered, kings have appeared. Something big is going to happen. I haven't encountered such a situation in a long time. At least not in the past 10 years. Why are so many kings gathered? It must be a top-secret matter. How can we ordinary people know about it? Everyone discussed and looked at these grandmasters and kings with curiosity. However, there were soldiers guarding the area, so no one dared to go forward. All of them watched curiously from afar. Look, isn't that the champion of the genius battle, Xia Ping? Some people also saw Xia Ping in the team. Oh my God, it really is that troublemaker. I didn't expect to see him alive today. Hurry up and take a picture. I knew I was lucky today. He is going to be one of the major characters in the future. He has already reached the Grandmaster realm at such a young age. In the future he might even become an invincible king. He has already been listed as one of the important people that the giant company is nurturing. The group of people also quickly noticed Xia Ping's existence because Xia Ping was really too famous and high profile. Basically, all the major events that happened in the past year were related to this guy. On the internet, Xia Ping's name was a hot topic, and he was even more famous than many human kings. Although he hadn't reached the level where everyone knew him, he had become a superstar. People would point at him whenever he went out. If it weren't for Xia Ping's notoriety, people might have asked for his autograph and many female fans. What? Hearing this, not only many tourists were in a commotion, but even some grandmasters and kings in the team couldn't help but turn their heads to look. Because this year, Xia Ping had been in the limelight too much and had done a lot of big things. Not to mention the fact that he had auctioned the Demon King's descendant, just the fact that he had kidnapped the mermaid princess and angered the sea monsters. The allied forces had come to kill him, but in the end he was still safe and sound. This was enough to make countless grandmasters and kings look at him and attract a lot of attention. Just causing trouble was not a big deal. Everyone could do it. The problem was that after causing trouble, nothing happened to him and he even got great benefits. This was not something that everyone could do. TSK, is this the champion of the genius battle, Xia Ping? He's really powerful. His heavenly court is full and his gang chi is full. He must have reached the sixth sky of the supreme power realm. My God, this kid is only 19 years old. He's so abnormal. When we were his age, we were probably in the martial mentor realm, but he is already a grandmaster and can compete with the older generation. He's really a monster. I can't compare with him. But is he also coming to this meeting? Isn't it a little too early? Indeed, even if he is now in the sixth sky of the supreme power realm, he is only 19 years old. He's too young. I guess some kings want to train him so they let him come out to see the world. He might not want to do anything. The eyes of many masters and kings twinkled as they looked at Xia Ping with complicated expressions. Some people sighed with emotion. Compared with this kid, they had been living like dogs all these years. The gap was too big. People really couldn't be compared with each other. It was really annoying. However, in the distance there was also a group of people standing next to them, looking at Xia Ping and the others with a faint smile. A man in black crossed his arms and said lightly, "Wu Quan, this kid is really popular. He has been in the limelight this year and is even called the future invincible king. What do you think?" The aura on his body was very powerful. It seemed that there was a faint dark aura around him, as if it had formed a unique aura. Once someone approached him, they would immediately feel very uncomfortable and disgusted. This man's cultivation had reached the peak of the ninth sky of the supreme power realm, only one step away from the king realm. Humph, he's just playing to the gallery. How can it be so easy to become an invincible king? The young man named Wu Quan sneered and said, "Not to mention the invincible king, even the king realm has stopped countless geniuses. Now this kid is amazing, but who knows if he will be stuck at the peak of the supreme power realm for many years. In the past, we were also promoted to the ninth sky of the supreme power realm. We thought that we could break through soon, but in the blink of an eye, 5 or 6 years have passed, and we still haven't been able to break through. I remember a few years ago we were also called monsters. Lu Shan, you think too highly of him. Chapter 937. Indeed. Lu Shan also nodded. The king realm is as difficult as ascending to heaven. If it wasn't difficult, countless geniuses wouldn't have been trapped for so many years, and there are so few king realm masters in the entire cloud realm. If we were to say who are the true geniuses among our peers, the undoubted monstrous geniuses, it would probably be Su Mei and Qiushue. They have easily broken through the king realm and have already surpassed us. I thought I could surpass them this time, but I didn't expect to fail. He laughed at himself. Wu Quan had nothing to say. These two women were indeed amazing geniuses of their generation. They seemed to have no bottlenecks and easily broke through to the king realm. They had been stuck at the peak of the Grandmaster realm for so many years, so they all knew how difficult it was to break through to the king realm. The more difficult it was, the more amazing these two stunning women were. But I have to say that this kid is amazing. The black-clothed man, Lu Shan, smiled slightly. Let's not talk about his martial arts cultivation. Just his luck alone is not something we can compare with. Our generation's two goddesses, Su Mei and Qiushue, were both taken by this kid, and they are even willing to share a husband. I really envy others. Shut up. Hearing this, a man in gray next to Lu Shan stared at him and said coldly, "These are just rumors circulating on the internet. There is no evidence. Who can be sure that this is true? How can you believe such a baseless rumor? LV Shan, you're getting worse and worse." His eyes were bloodshot and he seemed to be very angry. "Ren Haodan, I know you like Qiushue, but you can't ignore the facts." Lu Shan didn't care at all and still had a smile on his face. As the saying goes, there is no smoke without fire. How do you know that this is not true? If it is false, why didn't Qiushue come out to refute it and let these rumors spread? I think that even if it is somewhat false, it is also somewhat true. Sometimes when it comes to rumors, they'll become true as time goes on. He didn't care about the anger of the man in gray, Ren Haodan, and said these words to himself. "Lu Shan, if you want to provoke me, I can tell you that you have succeeded. Do you want to fight with me? I, Ren Haodan, will accompany you to the end." Ren Haodan clenched her fists. Lu Shan waved his hand. Don't cause trouble in front of the king, or we'll have to bear the consequences. Since you don't want to hear it, then I won't say it. Why get angry? But then again, there are a lot of people in our generation who like the two goddesses, Qiushue and Su Mei. This kid actually picked the two flowers of the plateau and brought them home. I don't know how much hatred he will cause. He rubbed his chin with a cold expression on his face. Ren Haodan snorted coldly. He didn't say anything, but his face darkened. His gaze fell on Xia Ping, who was walking over from afar. No one knew what he was thinking. Wu Quan was silent as he looked at Xia Ping in the distance. For a moment, the group fell into silence. At this moment, Xia Ping followed the kings of the giant company and exited the flying shuttle. When he arrived at the airport, he instantly heard the commotion in the surroundings and countless gazes were directed at him. It seemed that even on Flaming Huang Island he was very famous. Many people knew who he was. Elder Zhao. Xia Ping said proudly, "I didn't think that I would be recognized even though I'm so low-key. It seems that I'm actually a man who can't keep a low profile. No matter where I go, I'm like a firefly in the dark. I'm so bright and eye-catching. I'm like a red dot in a green forest." He felt that being a celebrity was very tiring. There were people everywhere discussing, taking photos, shaking hands and signing autographs. There might even be a bunch of beautiful female fans waiting for him to work day and night and do all kinds of unspoken rules. Tonight's nightlife might be very rich. Zhao Zhong was speechless. He felt that Xia Ping's skin was so thick that even an old man like him, who was hundreds of years old, couldn't take it. The other kings and grandmasters of the giant company all looked at Xia Ping with disdain. If this guy did less immoral things, it was guaranteed that he wouldn't be recognized. Moreover, there were no female fans around at all. This bastard still wanted to take advantage of this opportunity to do unspoken rules and fuck fun for free. He was simply daydreaming. Alright, stop talking nonsense. Let's hurry up and go to the Flaming Huang base. The leader is waiting for us. Zhao Zhong didn't want to hear this guy brag and directly ordered them to leave. Whoosh. The group of people left the airport. There were already a few hover cars waiting for them, picking up the grandmasters and kings. An hour later, Xia Ping's group arrived at the largest base of Flaming Huang Island, the Flaming Huang Base. It wasn't just Xia Ping's group. This time, many kings and grandmasters who had arrived at Flaming Huang Island were also heading to the Flaming Huang Base. The group of people headed there in a grandiose manner. "You guys are here." Just as Xia Ping and the others arrived at an empty space in the Flaming Huang Base, they immediately heard a gentle voice. However, this voice contained a terrifying spiritual wave. It was transmitted directly to everyone's mind. Even if they covered their ears, they couldn't block it out. Everyone looked over and saw three figures standing in the middle of the empty space in the base. One was a middle-aged man who was 1.8 meters tall, wearing black trousers and a black jacket. His entire body was pitch black. At first glance, it wasn't a person but a black shadow. He stood on the ground and the entire sky seemed to distort. The sun in the sky and endless sunlight were immediately blocked, as if the entire world had turned into darkness. This middle-aged man was the center of this world of darkness, devouring the endless light. The second figure was a handsome man. He looked incomparably elegant, as if he was a mythical character from the fairy race. He stood on the ground and seemed to emit white light automatically. He was like a sun standing on the ground, filling the surroundings with dazzling light. The people around him couldn't open their eyes and they couldn't see his appearance clearly. If this middle-aged man was the god of darkness, then this handsome man was the god of light. The third figure was an old man wearing green clothes. His feet stood on the ground like the roots of an old tree, deeply rooted in the ground, absorbing the endless life force of the earth. He didn't seem like a human but a tree of life standing on the ground. He had a majestic life force, and he emitted an ancient, vast aura that was incomparably vicissitude. Facing these three figures, no one present could muster up the will to resist. It seemed that as long as they willed it, they could instantly end their lives. Ordinary kings were no exception. Everyone had the same thought. These were invincible kings. Chapter 938. Invincible King. Divine Realm. At this moment, Xia Ping truly felt how terrifying this level was. When dealing with a Guru Realm cultivator, he could probably kill him with a single thought. There were 3 levels to King Realm: Purple Mansion, Fulfillment, and Divine Realm. The difference between each level was like heaven and earth, especially the Divine Realm, which was extremely different from the Fulfillment Realm. Even in the boundless universe, the Divine Realm was considered an expert with combat strength. In a remote and desolate place like the Cloud Realm, he would be an invincible existence and no one would be able to contend against him. Not bad at all. The middle-aged man in black nodded. The talents of this generation are quite good. There are still some good seedlings. I hope everyone will work hard. You should know that the King Realm is only the beginning, not the end. He glanced at everyone around. Everyone present felt a mountain-like pressure crushing down on them. They almost couldn't breathe. This was the pressure of an invincible king. Ordinary people couldn't resist it at all. "All right, old man." The handsome man smiled like a spring breeze. "Don't bully the juniors here. That's enough. Oh, we forgot to introduce ourselves. I'm Sun Yangdao. This old man in black is old 70, and this old man in green is Lu Wuming." He pointed at the 2 people next to him. What? Everyone was shocked. Lu Wuming, Sun Yangdao, these 3 names were not just heard of, they were like thunder piercing their ears, the kind that everyone knew of. They were the leaders of Life Corporation, Giant Corporation, and Aurora Corporation, the 3 superorganizations that ruled this world. They were the true leaders. Normally, they would be cultivating in seclusion to increase their cultivation. They would not come out easily. Even some kings hadn't seen the 3 leaders in person. They didn't expect to see them here today. I think you all find it strange too. Why have you been summoned here at this time? Lu Wuming stood with his hands behind his back and looked at everyone. The reason is simple. It's because the Demon King path has opened. Many geniuses have entered this trial. Once they pass this trial, they will definitely become Demon Kings. This is no small matter. He said that the path of the Monster King was a training ground passed down from ancient times in the Thousand Monster Mountain. There were endless mysteries inside, and it contained the secret of becoming a Monster King. Once the training was successful, one would definitely become a Monster King. If these demons were to pass the trial and become Demon Kings, they would definitely pose a great threat to humanity. The eyes of many martial artists flickered. They were extremely shocked. They did not think that the Wanyao Mountain would have such a secret place. Some people that had been stuck at the peak of the Grandmaster realm for a very long time were extremely tempted. If they were able to enter such a training ground, then they might be able to seize this opportunity to advance into the King realm. Lu Wuming also saw the Grandmaster's desire and smiled. I believe some of you have also received the news. This time, we will also find a way to enter the fiend race's trial grounds and get a share of the spoils. This is the reason why I've gathered all of you here. Lu Wuming's words wouldn't have been much before, but Lu Wuming's words had truly shocked and excited many human grandmasters. Immediately someone could not help but ask, "Leader, is this true or not?" Lu Wuming nodded. Of course it's true. We are not joking. He indicated that although the entrance to the path of the fiend race's secret trial grounds was in the Wanyao Mountain, the entrance to the secret trial grounds was not only in the Wanyao Mountain. After all, the fiend race was a race that dominated the entire Cloud Realm. Their ruins could be found in every corner of the Cloud Realm. At the same time, the entrances to the path of the fiend race were scattered all over the Cloud Realm. One of them was in the human territory and had always been well protected by the army. It was classified as a top secret and not many people knew about it. Before the path of the fiend race opened, this entrance was useless. However, now that the main entrance to the path of the fiend race had opened, they could also take this opportunity to enter through this remote entrance and get a share of the spoils of the fiend race. Although we can enter the path of the fiend race's secret trial grounds, let me tell you first that this secret trial grounds is extremely dangerous. It can be said that there is only a slim chance of survival, Lu Wuming said solemnly. There is no exit on this path. According to the fiend race's ancient records, if you are unable to advance to the Fiend King realm in this secret trial grounds, then you will die here and never be able to come out. In other words, if you don't become a Fiend King, you will die. He looked around and pointed out the seriousness of this matter. A slim chance of survival? This is indeed a dangerous secret trial grounds. If it wasn't for this kind of secret ground, you probably wouldn't be able to become a Fiend King. Don't worry, Chief. We have experienced all kinds of dangers. This is nothing. In order to advance to the Fiend King realm, we are already prepared to die. Many grandmasters clenched their fists. Some of them had been stuck at this bottleneck for decades or even centuries. This period of time was simply too long. It was almost the lifetime of an ordinary human. If this continued, they would not be able to advance to the Fiend King realm and would be stuck at this bottleneck for the rest of their lives. To them, who were determined to reach the peak of martial arts, this was simply torture. Now that they had a chance to escape this torture, they would not hesitate to sacrifice their lives. The path of the fiend race? Xia Ping was extremely tempted as well. Perhaps he would have to spend a very long time to advance into the King realm if he followed the prescribed order. However, he might be able to greatly shorten the time he had to cultivate and allow him to break through if he entered this secret realm. As for the dangers in the trial grounds, he did not care about them at all. No matter how dangerous it was, many monsters had succeeded and advanced to the Fiend King realm. This meant that it was not a slim chance of survival, and there was still a high chance of success. He had many trump cards to save his life. If even he could not succeed, Xia Ping could not imagine who else could pass this trial. He had to participate in this trial as well. Alright, since that's the case, you can set off tomorrow. Lu Wuming was very satisfied. Wait, Chief. Suddenly, someone stood out and said to Lu Wuming, "Do you have any questions?" Lu Wuming looked at this person. "Chief, my name is Ren Haodan." Ren Haodan introduced himself and then said, "All the Grandmasters are seniors and all of them have reached the peak of the Grandmaster realm. Of course, I have no objections to them participating in this trial. But there was a rat poop mixed in with this group of elites, and it almost spoiled the pot of soup. I'm not very satisfied with this matter." Chapter 939. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Immediately many people's eyes focused on Xia Ping. Obviously they all knew that Ren Haodan was targeting Xia Ping. "Why aren't you satisfied?" Lu Wuming asked. Ren Haodan said in a deep voice, "Leader, with all due respect, the number of people participating in this trial must be carefully selected and controlled. It's impossible to enter without restrictions." "That's right." Lu Wuming nodded. In this way, many outstanding grandmasters will fail to be selected and will not be able to get this opportunity. Ren Haodan said coldly, "If the grandmasters who enter this secret land trial are excellent enough and above everyone else, then those who fail will naturally have nothing to say. However, if the people who go in for the trial are of average strength, they will only be a burden and will die. Will the grandmasters who fail to be selected be satisfied? Will they be satisfied? If we had known that the people who enter would die, it would have been better to leave this place for more outstanding people. This is my idea. I hope the leader can consider it. Everyone's faces were very strange. They knew that Ren Haodan was targeting Xia Ping. She almost pointed at Xia Ping's nose and said that this kid was weak and not qualified to participate in this trial. Although Xia Ping's aptitude was indeed amazing, he was still at the 6th level of Supreme Power Realm. Compared with many Grand Master Peak cultivators, there was still a certain gap. If this young man was given a little more time, he might be able to catch up quickly. The problem was that the trial was about to begin. There was no time for that. Zhao Zhong and the others looked very gloomy. They all felt that Ren Haodan was a little disrespectful. If he had any opinions, he could have put them forward in private, which would be good for everyone. However, this kid just had to put it forward at this time in front of the Invincible King. This was clearly a slap in Xia Ping's face. He wanted to use the power of the Invincible King to eliminate this competitor. He wanted to kill with a borrowed knife. If you have anything to say, just say it. Don't hesitate here like a girl. Xia Ping said lazily, "You mean that my strength is a hindrance and I'm not qualified to enter this trial at all, right?" He looked at Ren Haodan indifferently. "At least you have some self-awareness. That's a pretty good point." Ren Haodan sneered. Boom! In the blink of an eye, Xia Ping took a step forward. Like a rock, he soared through the air and with lightning speed he crossed the distance of several hundred meters to arrive in front of Ren Haodan. Immediately he punched, shook and exploded. What? Ren Haodan was shocked. He didn't expect this brat to be so arrogant. In front of so many kings and even invincible kings, he dared to attack him and launch a sneak attack. Moreover, this kid's speed was simply too fast. The speed of his punches was like lightning, so fast that the speed of his nerves could not even react. He only had time to raise his hands and circulate the stellar energy in his body to block Xia Ping's punch. Dong! The punch landed squarely on Ren Haodan's arms. Like a raging bull beating a drum, a booming sound rang out. The air exploded and shattered inch by inch. The power poured down like a flood, unstoppable. He stood on the ground and tried to resist it, but he couldn't bear this kind of huge force. His whole body kept falling back. Just like that, he was forced back dozens of meters. His feet left 2 deep grooves in the ground. The tyrannical force shook his arms until they were numb, and his whole body was trembling. The surrounding Supreme Masters all dodged to avoid the aftermath of the power. They immediately made an open space. The Supreme Masters glanced at Gu Shilai, Sun Yongdao and Lu Wuming. It seemed that the 3 invincible kings had no intention of making a move. They didn't even ask the 2 of them to stop. They just watched with interest. These Supreme Masters also couldn't figure out the intention of the invincible kings, so they all remained silent and waited to see what would happen. You! Ren Haodan was shocked and angry. He glared at Xia Ping. He felt that he was about to vomit blood after taking this blow. His lungs seemed to have been seriously injured. Obviously, this guy's cultivation was only at the 6th level of the Supreme Power Realm, but his power was comparable to the peak of the 9th level of the Supreme Power Realm. There was even a terrible spiral force that penetrated his lungs and produced extreme destructive power. Even though he ran the protective Gang Qi on his body, he couldn't resist it at all. Dong! Xia Ping didn't even look at it. He didn't even pay attention to Ren Haodan's words. He directly kicked at him. It was like a wild elephant's attack. The elephant raised its hoof, which contained a power several times more terrifying than before. Immediately, there was a shrill sound of something breaking through the air, which frightened countless Supreme Masters. Oh no! Ren Haodan's face was pale. Just a punch had made him retreat dozens of meters. His hands were numb and his lungs were injured. Now he was kicked by his opponent. It was terrible. The problem was that the brat was too close to him. His flying kick was like a bolt of lightning, leaving only an afterimage of the kick in the air. He couldn't resist such a fast speed in such a short distance. The next second, the foot accurately kicked on his chest. The tip of the foot contained the strong force of Gang Qi, the spiral force, and the terrible destructive power. Ah! Ren Haodan let out a shrill scream. This time he could no longer resist. His protective Gang Qi was broken in an instant, and his whole body flew backward for hundreds of meters. With a bang, he was sent flying into the wall of the base, forcibly smashing out a human-shaped hole. Rocks flowed down from these marks. With a puff, he couldn't help but spit out a mouthful of blood. His face was pale. Keep shouting. Try shouting. Xia Ping condescendingly looked down at Ren Haodan. You dare to be arrogant in front of me with just this bit of strength? You even said that I'm weak, that I'm just a burden. How dare you say that? Although he didn't know why Ren Haodan suddenly targeted him, he didn't mind trampling such a bird to death to warn others. Otherwise, if idiots like him kept jumping out, he was afraid that it would cause him a lot of trouble. You. In front of so many Supreme Masters, and even invincible Supreme Masters, Ren Haodan was so angry that he spat out a mouthful of blood. His eyes were red and he wanted to eat Xia Ping. You what? Are you very dissatisfied? Do you want to fight again? Now I can let you use both my hands and feet. Xia Ping sneered, not giving this guy any face at all. Chapter 940. Seeing Xia Ping's appearance, Zhao Zhong had a headache. He had asked this kid to keep a low profile in front of the invincible king. Now they had just met and he had already started a fight. He even beat up a Supreme Master. Previously this guy had said that he would keep a low profile. What the fuck? No matter how he looked at it, he did not look like he was keeping a low profile. Was there no such thing as keeping a low profile in his life? Zhao Zhong wanted to drag this bastard back. He did not know what the leader would think of such a rude behavior. If the leader was angry, it would be no small matter. He felt a strong sense of uneasiness. Staying with Xia Ping, a bomb that could explode at any time, was too insecure. This kid is very strong. Many Supreme Masters stared at Xia Ping. This young man's reputation was like the shadow of a tree. Everyone present had more or less heard about this young man, but they had only heard about him. They had never seen his true abilities. In this world there were many people who did not live up to their reputation. They thought that this young man was one of them. However, when they saw Xia Ping beat Ren Haodan, who was at the peak of the Supreme Power 9th Realm, in just a few moves, they knew that this young man was extraordinary. Even though he was only at the Supreme Power 6th Realm, his strength was no less than that of an ordinary Supreme Power 9th Realm. Some people said that this was a sneak attack, which was why it had such an effect. However, when one reached the Supreme Power Realm, he had already reached the realm of sensing the autumn wind before it moved. A mere sneak attack could not do anything to a Supreme Power Realm Master. If one had the ability to sneak attack a Supreme Power Realm Master, he would also have the ability to kill a Supreme Power Realm Master in a head-on fight. This was strength, not something that could be falsified. This was the way of martial artists. Whether one had the ability or not, they only needed to fight. How can he be so strong? Wu Quan and LV Shan's pupils also shrank. They were both shocked. They did not expect that Ren Haodan would be beaten to the ground by this young man in just a few moves. This was completely different from what they had imagined. Originally, they wanted to take this opportunity to humiliate this guy. They did not expect that it would backfire. Instead, Ren Haodan was humiliated and became a laughing stock. What kind of move is this? Many of the king tiers wanted to go even further. They were at a higher cultivation level, and they could completely sense the mysterious power contained within Xia Ping's moves. It was clearly an ordinary power, but when this young man used it, it was several times more destructive. Even the protective astral energy was unable to withstand it. Even with their king realm, they could not see through the mysteries within. They could only instinctively feel that this might be a martial art that surpassed the king realm. It was extraordinary. Not bad, this young man is not bad. Gu Shilai smiled and looked at Xia Ping with admiration. As expected of someone from the giant company, he was indeed very capable. What a powerful soul power. He is indeed a seedling of a king. Sun Yangdao's body emitted a strange fluctuation, as if he had sensed a secret on Xia Ping's body. Ren Haodan, do you have any objections now? Lu Wuming asked as he looked at Ren Haodan. Me? Ren Haodan gritted his teeth and struggled to get up from the wall. Because he had the physique of an elite adept, it was not so easy for him to suffer injuries that he could not get up from. Hence he still had strength. He glared at Xia Ping fiercely. He wanted to recover from his injuries and fight with this brat again. But when he recalled this brat's exquisite fist technique and unstoppable power, he felt a chill. He instinctively felt that even if they fought again openly, he most likely would not be this brat's match. If he lost again, he would be asking to be humiliated. I have no objections. En Haodan lowered his head and clenched his fists. His nails dug into his flesh, causing a trace of blood to flow out. Evidently, he felt extremely unwilling to be so useless. But before this, he also did not know that this young man was so powerful. Then, does anyone have any objections to Xia Ping joining this trial? Lu Wuming looked around at the elite adepts around him. No one could tell what he was thinking, and he seemed to have a fair and just attitude. If you have any objections, feel free to speak. I'm a very modest person and will humbly accept your opinions, Xia Ping said humbly, indicating that he was someone who could listen to others' opinions. Bullshit. Many of the evolved Jing masters looked at Xia Ping with disdain. If Xia Ping was really a humble and open-minded person, how could he have attacked Ren Haodan just because of a disagreement? He showed no mercy and beat Ren Haodan to the ground with a few punches and kicks. If it was not for Ren Haodan's powerful strength, that attack would probably have him lying in the hospital for at least half a year. No matter how they looked at it, this bastard was a vengeful bastard. They were probably waiting to see who would jump out and cause trouble. This guy was probably waiting to take revenge. No, we have no objections. According to Brother Xia's battle prowess, joining this trial is a matter of course. That's right. If he can even defeat Ren Haodan, then there is no doubt that he is qualified. Yes, we all agree. Many of the elite adepts did not have any objections. Just now, Xia Ping had defeated Ren Haodan in just a few moves, which could be considered to have completely shocked all the elite adepts present. None of them dared to say anything anymore. Wu Quan and Lu Shan were also silent. Before seeing through Xia Ping's strength, they did not want to be the first to stand out and embarrass themselves like Ren Haodan in front of so many elite adepts and kings. Alright, since no one has any objections, then Xia Ping will join the team for this trial. Lu Wuming stood with his hands behind his back. The trial will start tomorrow morning. You guys get ready. He waved his hand and let the elite adepts leave. Everyone please follow me. We have prepared rooms for you to rest in the base. A group of soldiers came up and pointed out the path for Xia Ping and the rest. Following this, Xia Ping and the rest quickly left this empty space and went to the resting room of the Yanhuang base to rest. At this moment, many human kings and invincible kings had come to a conference room in the Yanhuang base. The surroundings were sealed, so no one could get any information from this conference room. The master trial was just the appetizer. The gathering of these kings was the real main course. Leader, may I know why you have asked us to gather together? Zhao Zhong and the other kings all knew that if it was just about the trial, the leader would not easily come out of seclusion, nor would he ask so many human kings to gather together. Something big must have happened to cause an invincible king to come out of seclusion and gather countless human kings to discuss this matter. Chapter 941. What? Hearing this, the kings present were shocked. They never thought that such news would come from the mouth of an invincible king. It was too shocking. Leader Gu, is this true? A king looked at Gu Shilai in shock, a little unable to believe his ears. It's true. It has been confirmed. Gu Shilai's face was very solemn. According to the speed of that spaceship, it should be able to reach the sky realm after a while. So far, we don't know whether they are enemies or friends. Why did they come? A spaceship. Many kings were silent. At their level, as the leaders of the human race, they naturally knew a lot of information that ordinary people did not know, including the existence of humans on other planets. In fact, for planet Yanhuang, the sky realm was actually an alien existence. It was just that they had been operating in this place for hundreds of years and had already regarded it as their own territory. In fact, with the development of technology, sooner or later, they would come into contact with aliens, but they did not expect it to be so fast and so unexpected. The more they understood the universe, the more they panicked about it. A planet like planet Yanhuang was actually just a low-level planet in the universe. In the eyes of advanced civilizations, it was just a native, an ant that could be wiped out with a wave of a hand. Even if the invincible kings seemed to be invincible in the sky realm, in the eyes of the alien experts, they were probably not worth mentioning. Once they encountered them, it would be a disaster for the humans of planet Yanhuang. Compared with the threat of Wanyao Mountain, the threat of aliens was the most terrible and the most impossible to resist. Leader, what should we do now? Many kings were panicking as they looked at the three invincible kings. Right now, only experts like these could become their backbone. No matter what else they had, it could not give them enough security. Everyone, don't worry too much. Gu Shilai said in a deep voice. First of all, there is only one such spaceship. It did not come in a group. I guess it is not to invade the sky realm. In this case, we may not necessarily have an armed conflict with the aliens. Secondly, the sky realm has a unique suppression of the heaven and earth rules. Cultivators higher than the divine power realm cannot exist here, so we do not need to worry about the strength of the other party. As long as the other party does not have enough people, we can use the tactic of numbers to suppress them. Sky realm was a continent that existed in the universe. The heaven and earth rules were very unique. It did not seem to be formed naturally, but it was created by a great power. Originally, the suppression of the divine power realm was not so serious. It seemed that after a tragic war in the ancient times, the power of the world was triggered, and the suppression of the creature's strength became more severe. Now, cultivators higher than the realm could not survive in the sky. But of the world, of the divine power realm, could not. Since divine realm cultivators could not break through to treasure refining realm in the cloud realm, divine realm cultivators had been the strongest existence in the cloud realm since ancient times. This was unfair to the creatures living in the cloud realm. If they could not leave the cloud realm, they would not be able to pry into higher cultivation realms. However, if one were to think about it from another perspective, perhaps this was also a great fortune. No matter how strong the outsiders were, they would not be able to sweep through the creatures of the cloud realm and have the power to fight the aliens. Taking 10,000 steps back, even if we can't resist the alien invasion, we can give up the sky realm and move back to Yanhuang Star. This is also the last resort. Gu Shilai said that he had made a series of preparations. It was a foolproof plan. Whether it would succeed or not depended on fate. Leader Gu, what do you need us to do? The kings looked at Gu Shilai with serious expressions. Unite all the friends. If the aliens really invade the sky realm, it will not only be a matter of us humans. It will be a matter of the myriad monster mountain and the countless races in the endless sea. Gu Shilai's eyes were cold. Once the aliens come, they can't stay out of it. We must let them join the war. He needed many monarchs to personally go to the cloud realm and act as lobbyists to unite the countless races. Don't worry. Leave it to us. The group of monarchs all nodded. They knew that humans alone would not be able to resist this huge disaster, so they had to unite all the powers that could be united. Everyone. Gu Shilai looked at them. In the Great Destruction era, humans were weak. In front of the tyrannical monsters, they could not fight back. They were almost wiped out. In that era, the people of planet Yanhuang were not wiped out. This time we will not be wiped out. If the aliens dare to cross the line, we will not let them go easily. His body was filled with a terrifying killing intent, causing people to be terrified. Yes. The human kings clenched their fists. For 1,000 years they had encountered all kinds of storms. They had faced the biggest crisis and survived. This time would not be an exception. Even if they were to die, they would bite off a piece of the enemy's flesh. The next day, Xia Ping and the others came to the deepest part of the Yanhuang base under the guidance of the marshal. One of the entrances to the path of the Demon King was in the base. This is one of the entrances to the path of the Demon King. The marshal said, pointing to a dark hole in front of them. It was unfathomably deep, like a black hole. There was a whirlpool spinning inside, and it was impossible to see what was inside. Many grandmasters were nervous. After all, this was a road of trial with 9 out of 10 chances of survival. If they could not reach the king realm, they would die inside. I'll tell you the truth. The marshal said in a low voice, we know very little about this trial. We don't know what the trial is about. We don't even know how to get out after entering. This is a road of 9 out of 10 chances of survival. If anyone wants to give up, you can decide now. This is not a forced decision. Once you enter, you will never be able to come out again. I hope everyone will be careful. He said the risks here. Don't worry, we already know this. There is no need to waste your breath. Those who can reach the Grandmaster level have long put life and death aside. For us, there is nothing more important than becoming a king. If you can't become a king, you'd rather die. One of the old Grandmasters said resolutely. For these old men who were stuck at the peak of the 9th level of the Grandmaster realm, if they did not become a king, they would die. Their lifespan would be exhausted and there would be no more hope. Well, since you all know, I won't waste any more time. Go in. The marshal waved his hand. Whoosh, whoosh. The group of Grandmasters did not hesitate and walked in one by one. Chapter 942. Boom. As soon as they stepped into the black vortex, the Grandmasters felt the world spin. In the next second, they appeared in another space and stepped on the ground. Where are we? The Grandmasters looked around and found themselves in a primeval forest. The surroundings were lush, and birds were singing and flowers were fragrant. What a dense spiritual energy of heaven and earth! A Grandmaster could not help but exclaim. He felt that this strange space seemed to be filled with spiritual energy that was even denser than the cloud realm. It was equivalent to a holy land for cultivation. Because of this, the trees in this primeval forest were very tall. They were at least dozens of meters tall, and even the weeds were 2 meters tall. When people walked in, they were instantly drowned by the weeds. They could not be seen at all. What's going on? The black vortex has disappeared. How do we go back? Someone quickly discovered that there was a black vortex with a diameter of 2 to 3 meters on the ground. After they passed through it, it disappeared in a few seconds. There was no way back. Many grandmasters had ugly expressions. Although they had been warned by the army marshal that there was no way back, they only realized the seriousness of this matter when they came to this trial ground. Don't worry. Since this is the trial space of the demon clan, it is not a space where death is certain. There must be a way back. We just need to look for it carefully. That's right. If there is a way in, there will naturally be a way back. It is said that this is a trial space, but what is the content of this trial? Indeed, if we don't know, we can't act. We don't know how to advance to the king realm at all. We are not the only ones in this trial space. There are also demon clan grandmasters. If we can find them, we might be able to ask them. Many grandmasters were experienced and far-sighted people. They had various ways to deal with all kinds of unexpected situations. Although they had no clue, they soon found a breakthrough. As long as they could find the geniuses of the demon clan who were also participating in the trial, they would definitely find a way to find out the secret of this trial space. Xiaoping did not say anything. He just watched quietly. Rumble, at this moment, a strange vibration came from the depths of the forest. Immediately, the black demonic trees ran out in groups. They were completely black and their bodies were filled with a strange black aura. They seemed to be corroding the surrounding green plants and devouring everything. Their feet were made up of countless roots, numbering in the hundreds. When they ran, they were like super tanks, crushing everything in front of them. Boulders and trees were instantly smashed into smithereens. On the tree trunk, there were 2 deep black eyes as well as a mouth full of sharp teeth. The teeth were like a saw and were even more ferocious than the teeth of a shark. What kind of creature is this? Why is it different from the previous ones? 2 hands, 2 feet, no tail, wings and scales. Why does it look like a legendary human? Tisk tsk. So what if you're a human? Anyone who dares to intrude into this space will die. No one is an exception. Kill them all. Leave no one alive. I wonder what the flesh and blood of the legendary human tastes like? The taste must be excellent. These black demonic trees quickly discovered the existence of Xiaoping and the others. Although they were a little surprised, they reacted quickly. Their murderous aura surged, and they rushed over like an army charging, emitting a strong killing intent. To them, any living creature that intruded into this space was an invader, and they had to die. Demonic trees? There are demonic trees in this place? Are they monsters from the Thousand Demon Mountain? No, they're completely different. These black demonic trees contain an evil and dark aura. It's simply a collection of killing. Although the Thousand Demon Mountain is also full of monsters, they are still rational, and their bodies would not be surrounded by such a dark and bloody aura. Are they creatures from this space? I don't know. Anyway, they're enemies, not friends. Kill these demonic trees. Seeing these black tree demons charging at them, the human grandmasters did not hold back. All of them were veterans who had been through countless battles. Of course, they would not panic over such a small matter. Bang bang bang. In an instant, these black demonic trees rushed over. Hundreds of their roots shot out like spears, tearing the air and whistling, covering an area. A saber grandmaster immediately took out a treasured saber and slashed at it. With a bang, sparks flew in all directions. It was a powerful strike, but he was incomparably shocked, because this saber couldn't even cut through the roots of the black demonic tree. When the sword slashed on the roots, it was like slashing on steel, causing his hand to go numb. Weak human. A black demonic tree smiled malevolently. With a poochie sound, dozens of roots instantly pierced through the Blade Dao Grandmaster's body. Dozens of bloody holes appeared in his body with a swooshing sound. But what made the surrounding human masters even more frightened was that these roots that pierced into the body of the saber master actually produced a strong devouring power. After a few breaths, the body of the saber master turned into a withered corpse, as if he was a 1,000-year-old mummy. And the black demonic tree exploded with bloody light, like a bloody sun, extremely dazzling. It actually revealed an expression of satisfaction. Human, not bad, delicious food. After devouring a human master, the black demonic tree's power and aura increased greatly. Seeing this, the other demonic trees were all excited. The legendary humans are indeed top-class food. Devouring one can greatly increase one's power. These are all spiritual herbs. Capture them alive, kill them, and refine them. Many black demonic trees' eyes glowed with bloody light, and they howled, spreading for miles. As if hearing this howl, countless demonic trees in the depths of the forest started to shake. The ground shook as if there was a super earthquake with a magnitude of 7 or 8. The human masters present immediately knew that these black demonic trees were gathering companions. Just these black demonic trees alone could cause great trouble. If their numbers kept increasing, they would definitely die. They didn't expect to encounter such a crisis as soon as they stepped into this trial space. Go to hell. A black demonic tree growled. It actually stared at Xiaoping, who was in front of it. According to its perception, this human was the weakest among the group. As the saying goes, to pinch a persimmon is to pinch the soft one. These black demonic trees were the same. They wanted to kill the weak human in the first attack, and then slowly encircle the stronger human. You're courting death. Chapter 943. Xiaoping made his move immediately. He had no intention of showing mercy to the black tree demon that was trying to kill him. Superior king-level martial arts technique, clapless palm. He struck out with his palms soundlessly. Even the air did not fluctuate at all. The black tree demon did not feel any danger. It still treated Xiaoping as a soft persimmon that it could crush at will. However, in the next second, the palm landed on the black tree demon and a terrifying force exploded. Dong. The black tree demon's eyeballs almost popped out of their sockets. The terrifying destructive force vibrated crazily in its body. Even the Sword Dao Grandmaster's all-out attack could not break its roots. Now, under Xiaoping's palm, it broke inch by inch, exploding into countless wood shavings. Ah! The black tree demon let out a shrill scream. Its entire body split into countless pieces, and a large amount of black liquid sprayed on the ground. With a sizzling sound, the black liquid corroded the ground, turning all the weeds growing on the ground into nothingness. Damn it, this human dares to kill my people. Let's go together and kill him. I want to eat him and swallow his flesh. Previously, these black tree demon had easily killed a human grandmaster. They thought that all humans were so weak like sheep that could only be killed. However, now, they saw a human with a very weak aura suddenly attack and instantly kill one of their companions. They did not even have the strength to fight back. Instantly, they were enraged and almost lost their minds. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. In the blink of an eye, 7 or 8 black demonic trees attacked, covering the sky and covering the earth. From east, west, south, north and south, they surrounded Xiaoping tightly, not giving Xiaoping any chance to escape. At the same time, each black tree demon waved hundreds of terrifying roots like a group of demons dancing. Just one black tree demon was already so terrifying. Now that 7 or 8 tree demon had appeared, the threat simply increased exponentially. Thousands of spear-like roots shot out. Any human grandmaster would probably not be able to withstand it and would definitely die. This kid is finished. The surrounding human grandmasters felt that it was a pity. This famous genius was going to die just after entering the trial space. It was such a pity. But now they couldn't even take care of themselves and couldn't lend a helping hand. Unmovable Buddha palms profound meaning, Buddha's radiance illumination. At this moment, Xiaoping was unfazed. He circulated the pure yang immortal incantation, causing his earth energy to tremble as he unleashed a king-class fist technique toward the group of demonic trees. This punch was an area of effect fist technique. With a single punch, hundreds and thousands of fist prints seemed to appear in the void. Each fist imprint contained a terrifying flame energy, emitting a blazing radiance as if a Buddha had appeared, subduing demons and devils, illuminating the world. Bang bang bang. These fist prints bombarded the roots of the black demonic tree. Every time they collided, an astonishing loud sound would erupt. It was like a missile exploding, the air exploding and roaring. The fiery power of the fists also exploded, spreading in all directions and landing on the bodies of the black demonic trees like raindrops. These flames were like inextinguishable flames. When they landed on the black demonic trees, they used the black aura and black liquid as fuel and began to burn crazily. Ah! Suddenly, the black demonic trees let out shrill screams, like pigs being slaughtered. They had never experienced such terrible pain before. This was a burning from the depths of their souls. To these black demonic trees, the terrifying flames formed by the essence of the sun on Xiaoping's body were simply their natural nemesis, completely suppressing them. Even a little bit of it would cause great harm. In just a few breaths, the originally arrogant and abnormally ferocious black demonic trees were burned into black charcoal. Some parts were even reduced to ashes. Seeing this, all the black demonic trees present went crazy. If only a few of their companions had died, they wouldn't have been so crazy. But now they were killed without any resistance. Their entire bodies were burned to ashes, unable to resist at all. This caused endless fear to rise in their hearts. Damn it, how can this human master such a terrifying flame energy? Kill him immediately. This is the nemesis of our Blackwood tribe. This is our natural enemy. Many black demonic trees screamed crazily. Originally, in this space, these black demonic trees didn't have any natural enemies. With their extremely strong recovery ability and the corrosive power of the black liquid, they were simply like locusts sweeping away everything. No matter what kind of race encountered them, they would die a violent death or be exterminated easily. But now the situation had completely changed. Encountering this human who could control such a terrifying flame, he had killed the Blackwood tribe like chickens. This made them extremely panicked. Like a flock of chickens encountering their natural enemy, a weasel, they were on the verge of going crazy. Whoosh, whoosh. Now, not only were there 7 or 8 black demonic trees attacking, but there were also dozens of them. It was as if they had an irreconcilable hatred with Xia Ping, and they wouldn't stop until one of them was dead. They even roared and shouted to their companions, saying that even if they had to pay a huge price, they would kill this human. A natural enemy like this should not exist in this world. Little friend, don't be afraid. I will help you. Suddenly, 2 or 3 human grandmasters jumped out. They were all old and clumsy, at least 100 or 200 years old. Their bodies emitted an aura of old age. However, their bodies were extremely vigorous, like a round sun, blooming with dazzling light. One was a Xingyi grandmaster who had mastered the Xingyi fist technique. Every punch and kick was like a terrifying killing weapon, incomparably ferocious, exploding with terrifying power like a missile, the air exploding. One was a Tai Chi grandmaster in a white robe. His fist technique was both soft and hard, and he stood on the ground, seemingly forming a Tai Chi vortex with his body as the center, controlling the airflow. One was a military boxing grandmaster. He seemed to be a grandmaster who had killed his way out of the army. He was proficient in military boxing and killing techniques, and every move was aimed at killing. The 3 grandmasters attacked and instantly destroyed 3 black demonic trees. Wood chips flew everywhere, causing the black demonic trees' attacks to stagnate and intimidate the enemies. Good. Xia Ping didn't expect 3 human grandmasters to help at this critical moment. He also attacked repeatedly, manipulating the power of flames to burn the black demonic trees to death. Originally, he thought that he could combine the power of many human grandmasters to completely kill this group of demonic trees. However, he didn't expect that in the next second Wu Quan, Lu Shan, Ren Haodong, and the other grandmasters would take the lead and escape. They took advantage of the moment when they were fighting with the black demonic trees to quickly escape. Chapter 944. They're running away? Xia Ping raised his eyebrows. Although he was already mentally prepared that this group of masters would not work together, he did not expect them to choose to run away together at this time, abandoning them without the slightest intention of helping. This group of bastards. The 3 old masters' expressions were very ugly. They were instantly infuriated by this group of human masters who took the opportunity to escape. Even though they knew that some of them liked to watch others die, they did not expect that they would run away without even daring to fight. This kind of courage was even smaller than that of a mouse. It would be stupid to help you. Wu Quan and Lu Shan sneered, not caring at all about the anger of the 3 old masters. They could clearly see the current situation, which was that the human masters were at an absolute disadvantage. This was because this was the territory of the Black Tree Demons, and there was a steady stream of troops coming from afar. Even if they killed dozens of Black Tree Demons in a short time, they would be trapped in the mud of war. At that time, who knew how many masters would be killed or injured before they could escape with their lives? They did not come to this trial space to die, but to search for opportunities. Each of them had their own thoughts, and it was impossible for them to sacrifice their lives for others. Therefore, when they saw that someone was actually entangling this group of Black Tree Demons, creating an opportunity for them to escape, they did not have any reason to stay, and each of them slipped away. Xia Ping, this is divine punishment, divine punishment. Just die obediently under the siege of this group of Black Tree Demons. Ren Haodong's heart was filled with incomparable joy. As for this bastard who had once humiliated him, he could not wait to see him suffer 8 lifetimes of bad luck. Therefore, seeing that Xia Ping was surrounded, he would definitely not help. Instead, he would curse fiercely, letting this bastard die under the siege of countless Black Tree Demons. In just a few breaths' time, the group of human masters disappeared completely, leaving only Xia Ping and the three old masters to fight this group of black tree demons alone. What should we do? Did this group of humans escape? Ignore these cowardly people, kill this human who can control fire. He can actually control fire that can harm our Blackwood tribe. This human really deserves to die, we definitely can't let him live. Yes, other humans don't matter, but this human must die. Many black tree demons were full of murderous intent. They did not care about the other humans who were escaping, but specifically targeted Xia Ping. All of them attacked with murderous intent. Damn it. The three old Grand Masters immediately felt the majestic pressure of dozens of black demonic trees. Each black demonic tree had at least the strength of the Supreme Master 7th Heaven or above. Furthermore, there were too many enemies. 2 fists were no match for 4 hands. Bang bang bang. The tree branches were like sharp arrows and long spears, piercing through everything and bombarding the 3 Grand Masters. In an instant they were heavily injured and couldn't help but cough up blood. This won't do. There are too many of these black demonic trees. I can't kill them all. Little friend Xia, run away. With us 3 old bones here, you should be able to stall for some time. You are still young and you have the strength to become an invincible king. You should not die here. The 3 old grandmasters were brimming with killing intent as they stood in front of Xia Ping, trying to buy him some time to escape. There's no need, senior. I can kill these black demonic trees like killing pigs and dogs. A cold light flashed in Xia Ping's eyes, and his killing intent soared. He grabbed at the air, and a divine sword immediately appeared in his hand. This was a precious weapon obtained from the celestial demon battlefield, the flaming dragon divine sword. The moment this treasured sword appeared, a fiery dragon seemed to rise from the void, emitting endless heat. It was like a sun spanning across the void. With Xia Ping's body as the center, a flaming aura of several miles immediately erupted, and the surrounding temperature instantly rose by hundreds or even thousands of degrees. Kill. Xia Ping held the flaming dragon divine sword and operated the pure young immortal incantation. The majestic flame gang qi in his body was like an ocean, crazily surging into the flaming dragon divine sword. With a precious fire weapon like the flaming dragon divine sword, coupled with Xia Ping's pure young immortal incantation, the essence of the sun and other fire energy, the power was increased by more than 10 times. With a slash of the sword, hundreds of flaming dragons suddenly appeared in mid-air, condensed into a solid substance, roared in the void and pounced toward the black demonic trees, boiling with killing intent. Bang bang bang. These flaming dragons pounced on the black demonic trees, opened their fangs and bit down. In an instant, the black demonic trees' branches were bitten to pieces, making cracking sounds. These flames even burned crazily on the black demonic trees, and in just a few breaths, they turned into huge torches, the flames soaring into the sky. No, no, no. The black demonic trees let out shrill screams, rolling on the ground, constantly struggling, trying to use mud or water to extinguish the fire, but to no avail. This was like a flame burning on top of oil. This method not only failed to extinguish the flames, but also made the flames more intense, seeping into every part of their bodies. The most terrifying thing was that these black demonic trees were too densely packed, and the flames burned like a forest fire, spreading one after another. This was simply a one-sided massacre. From a distance, it looked like a forest fire had broken out. Hundreds of trees were burning, and people within 100 miles could clearly see the flames soaring into the sky. The ground was also burned by the flames, turning into a pile of black charcoal. Too fierce. Where did he get this precious fire weapon? This is simply heaven-defying. Are all the young people these days so incredible? The 3 old grandmasters were all dumbfounded. Previously, when they were being chased by hundreds of black demonic trees, they were in a precarious situation, and there was almost no chance of survival. They had planned to sacrifice themselves to buy some time for Xia Ping to escape. They had the grief and indignation of facing death with equanimity, but they did not expect the situation to take a turn for the worse, and there was no need to escape at all. Xia Ping, alone with his sword, was like a god of fire descending, burning the world. These black demonic trees that looked incomparably ferocious and evil were killed one by one, burned, and turned into ashes. Their large numbers had instead become their disadvantage, the most fatal weakness. Senior, run quickly. After killing a group of black demonic trees, Xia Ping called out to the 3 old grandmasters and they quickly fled. That was because this move had used up almost all of his stellar energy. Behind them there were still countless black demonic trees attacking. If they continued to stay in this place, they would probably be drowned in the black demonic trees' attacks. He would also die from exhausting his stellar chi. Chapter 945. 2 hours later, Xia Ping and the 3 old grandmasters ran wildly and finally got rid of the pursuit of the black demonic trees. They came to a secret cave in the forest, which was a place for a short rest. He also learned the names of the 3 grandmasters: Lu Qi, the Xingyi grandmaster, Guotsuani, and Li Yun, the military boxing grandmaster. They were all old monsters who had lived for more than 200 years. However, because of their limited qualifications, they had been stuck at the peak of the supreme power realm and had not broken through. Therefore, they entered this trial space in order to find the opportunity to break through. Thank you for your help. I'm grateful. Xia Ping cupped his hands and said. Guotsuani, the Tai Chi grandmaster, waved his hand and said, "It's not a help. It's just a hindrance. If it weren't for you, I'm afraid the 3 of us would have died here. Indeed, after living for more than 200 years, this is all I can do." Lu Qi, the Xingyi grandmaster, sighed. Li Yun, the military boxing grandmaster, was silent. Obviously he was also a little unwilling. The previous scene had brought great excitement to them. The 3 old men, who were more than 600 years old, were actually not as good as a young man. The gap was too big. Seniors, there is no need to belittle yourself. As the saying goes, age does not determine one's ambition. If you can be promoted to the king realm this time, your lifespan will be greatly increased. At that time, 200 years will just be the beginning. Xia Ping said carelessly, "Of course, if you haven't been promoted to the king realm at more than 200 years old, your qualifications are indeed a little poor. I can understand that you are discouraged. But you don't have to compare yourself with me. In any case, I am a once-in-a-thousand-years genius. If you compare yourself with me, it's like showing off in front of Confucius or showing off in front of Guan Yu. You are a little overconfident." He stood with his hands behind his back, showing an appearance of being the only one seeking defeat. Bullshit. Hearing this, Guotsuani, the Tai Chi grandmaster, was so angry that his beard curled up. "Don't be fooled by your young age. If you don't use a precious weapon, believe it or not, I won't be at a disadvantage if we fight. I can even defeat you with one hand." He grimaced and was very unconvinced. Xia Ping's words had aroused his fighting spirit. "Is there anyone who comforts others like you?" The Xingyi grandmaster Lu Qi was also speechless. He knew that Xia Ping's words weren't out of discrimination or malice. He was just trying to comfort them. But why was it so awkward to say these words? It made him angry. "I finally know why you have so many enemies in the world. Even I want to beat you up a little. I kind of regret saving you." The corners of the military boxing grandmaster Li Yun's mouth twitched. "Senior, it's already too late to know about this. There's no medicine for regret in this world." Xia Ping waved his hand, "But the injuries on your bodies are a bit heavy, it's better if you take some healing pills." With a backhand slap, 2 or 3 dark green pills immediately appeared in his right palm. "This is a top-grade healing pill, the Jade Radish pill. You actually have it?" The 3 old grandmasters widened their eyes. They knew how precious this Jade Radish pill was. It was said that as long as a person still had a breath left, he could save them. Healing pills are a must when traveling the pugilistic world. You don't have to stand on ceremony. I have a lot of these pills. I have several boxes at home. Xia Ping revealed a rich and overbearing look. These healing pills had been plundered from the shark demon monarch's treasure trove. He had basically never suffered any injuries, so these healing pills were useless to him. Now he could take them out and make use of them. The 3 old grandmasters were speechless. They were shocked by Xia Ping's wealth. Even a monarch probably did not have several boxes of jade radish pills at home. How rich was this fellow? However, they suddenly recalled the many deeds Xia Ping had done. He had auctioned off a demon monarch's descendant and plundered the shark demon monarch's treasure trove. Just these 2 deeds alone were enough to make this kid rich overnight. The amount of wealth he had was probably something an ordinary large family could not accumulate in 10 lifetimes. I'll cut to the chase. These jade radish pills are indeed what we need now. I will remember this favor, little friend. If we can get out of here alive, we will definitely repay you generously. The 3 grandmasters looked at each other and cupped their hands at Xia Ping. They were very serious. They were not pedantic people. They knew how dangerous it was to drag their heavily injured bodies in this trial space that was fraught with danger. Therefore, they had to treat their injuries as soon as possible. As for Xiaoping's life-saving grace, they would remember it. Once they had the ability, they would definitely repay him. This was also their code of conduct. Otherwise, they would not have stepped forward in times of danger. Soon, the three grandmasters swallowed the jade radish pills that Xiaoping had taken out. These were indeed supreme-grade healing pills. Although they had suffered serious injuries and their lungs had been damaged, they quickly recovered under the treatment of the jade radish pills. It was as if they had been soaked in a high-level nutrient solution. Their various injuries recovered to their original state. In merely an hour, they'd recovered completely. Young brother, according to your natural talent and wealth, advancing into the king realm is only a matter of time. Why did you take the risk to follow us into this trial space that has a slim chance of survival? Asked Guotsuani curiously. After the battle from before, he'd understood how terrifying Xiaoping's natural talent was. Advancing into the king realm was only a matter of time, so there was utterly no need for Xiaoping to fight for such a dangerous fortuitous encounter with them who were on the verge of death. Seniors, it's a slim chance of survival for all of you, but it's only a stepping stone for true geniuses. Would such a tiny place be dangerous? Xiaoping gazed at the three old men with contempt, and he seemed to be unable to understand their thoughts. It was like how a mouse would flee in terror when encountering a cat, but a tiger would flatten the cat with a single slap. They weren't on the same level at all. Young brother Xia, fortunately, I've lived for over 200 years, and I'm shrewd enough to barely control myself. Otherwise, the consequences of speaking such words would be rather severe. Guotsuani's expression was extremely dark. As expected, I can't get along with you. Our personalities aren't compatible, and there's a generation gap. The Xingyi Grandmaster Lu Qi bared his teeth. To be honest, young brother Xia, it's very easy for you to be beaten up if you walk out on the streets like this. The military boxing Grandmaster Li Yun clenched his fists tightly, but he quickly relaxed them again. He forcefully resisted the urge to beat Xiaoping up. Senior, there seems to be some movement up ahead? Xiaoping originally wanted to say a few words of modesty, but suddenly, his spiritual power sensed intense battle fluctuations in the distance. It wasn't far from here, only 2 to 3 kilometers away. It's the demon race. A trace of cold light flashed in the eyes of the military boxing grandmaster, Li Yun, and his spiritual power spread out. I've been in the army for over 100 years and I've experienced several wars with the demon race. I've killed countless demons. This aura is definitely from the demon race. His tone was resolute and decisive. Let's go and take a look. Chapter 946. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Xiaoping and the 3 old grandmasters leaped around and controlled the airflow. They shuttled through the forest like supersonic airplanes and soon arrived at the battlefield. What monsters are these? Tai Chi Grandmaster Guotsuani was shocked. He immediately saw dozens of 100-meter-tall rock giants appearing on a vast plain in front of him. They were similar to ordinary giants with hands, feet, eyes, mouths, noses, and so on. However, their bodies were made of rock and were different from the demons. In fact, they were even different from humans. If they had to be categorized in the universe, the demon race and the human race were actually considered the same race. They were considered life forms of flesh and blood and had their own bodies. However, these rock giants were not flesh and blood at all. They were a unique life form that was neither human nor demon. They would not bleed even if they were hurt. At that moment, dozens of demons appeared in front of these rock giants. These demons were in a sorry state when faced with the rock giants' attacks. They fled frantically and almost all of them were injured. They were forced into a desperate situation and were about to die. These rock giants are very strong. Li Yun, the military boxing grandmaster, narrowed his eyes. He could see that every rock giant was a true martial Dao grandmaster who had mastered exquisite martial skills. Ordinary humans had a biased view of giants. They thought that because of their large size, their movements would definitely be very slow. However, in fact, this was a huge mistake. It was like comparing humans and ants. To ants, humans were more than 1,000,000 times larger than themselves, but were humans very slow. By the same logic, these 100-meter-tall rock giants moved incredibly fast like humans. They were extremely flexible, fast, and agile. They had also mastered extremely powerful martial skills. One could imagine that no matter how powerful these demon geniuses were, they would still be beaten into a sorry state when faced with such powerful rock giants. They could only flee in all directions. I've met someone familiar. Xiaoping raised his eyebrows and probed with his mental strength. He immediately sensed the identities of the dozens of demons. Among them were Tu Linglong, the Crow of Misfortune, the Metal Tiger, the Three-Eyed Giant, the Green Yuan, and other demon geniuses. Apart from these demon geniuses, there were also many veteran demon grandmasters that he had never seen before. However, it was obvious that even with so many demon grandmasters gathered together, they were still being beaten back by these rock giants and were on the verge of death. Bang! A stone giant punched out. The fist that was like a small mountain struck out, bringing with it a shocking gust of wind as it smashed into the body of a Grandmaster demon. Ah! The Grandmaster monster let out a shrill scream. It was unable to withstand such a shocking force. Its entire body was smashed into pieces and turned into a mass of minced meat. Die! Several demon grandmasters went berserk as they charged at the stone giant in front of them. Terrifying astral winds formed in midair, but when they struck the stone giant, they only produced some stone chips. They failed to harm the stone giant in the slightest. Seeing this, the rock giant revealed a disdainful smile and slapped out with his palm. Immediately, 3 or 4 monster grandmasters were sent flying like flies. They had no power to resist at all. They flew backward for 5 or 6 kilometers and finally smashed into a mountain in the distance. Obviously, after experiencing such a fierce attack, these monster grandmasters could no longer survive. This won't do. This rock giant is too powerful. Its strength is many times stronger than ours. Even the toughness of its body is extremely terrifying. Our attacks can't harm this rock giant at all. How are we supposed to fight it? We're so unlucky. We were so careful. But how did we get discovered by this group of rock giants? The Crow of Misfortune, the Metal Tiger, the Three-Eyed Giant, and the other monsters all had extremely ugly expressions. They did not expect to encounter such misfortune in just a few days after entering the trial space. If this continued, they would die before they could advance to the Demon King realm. Sister Green Phoenix. Tu Linglong was very worried. She could not help but look at Green Phoenix beside her. Due to the rock giant's attack, Green Phoenix had suffered considerable damage. She had lost 50% of her strength. Don't worry. Even in such a dangerous situation, Green Phoenix still maintained absolute calmness. We are no match for these rock giants in a head-on battle. However, they are huge and can't travel through the complicated terrain. If we hide in the caves of the mountains, they won't be able to find us. She believed that they had no chance of winning a head-on battle, but there was still a chance of winning by escaping. Let's escape. That's right. If we split up, no matter how powerful those rock giants are, they won't be able to kill all of us. If we're lucky, some of us can survive. Alright then, let's part ways here. I wish you all good luck. Hearing these words, the surrounding monsters looked at each other. They could all see each other's intention to retreat. They knew that if they continued to resist stubbornly, only death would await them. It was better to split up. That way, some of them would be able to survive. Whoosh. In the blink of an eye, the demons fled in all directions. Some fled to the east. Some fled to the west. Some fled to the north. Some fled to the south. As for Tu Linglong and Green Phoenix, they fled to the east. In an instant, all the monsters fled in all directions. The rock giant was caught off guard by this move. However, this action also completely enraged the rock giant. An ant wants to escape? Dream on. Attack together. Surround them from all directions. Not a single monster can escape. Kill them. One by one, the rock giants let out an earth-shattering roar. They also split up and chased after the escaping monsters, as though they would not rest until one of them was dead. They were huge and traversed hundreds of meters with a single step. Their speed was not something that ordinary monsters could compare with. In a few breaths, some of the rock giants caught up to some of the escaping monsters and immediately smacked a few of them to death. Don't look back. Run. Green Phoenix was expressionless. A pair of wings grew on its back and constantly flapped as it fled with Tu Linglong. It was like a supersonic plane that even the rock giants could not catch up to. However, when they rushed to the edge of the forest, they were given a huge fright. This was because they sensed a few tyrannical auras lying in ambush at the edge of the forest, as though they were waiting for their prey. It's over. Could it be that those detestable rock giants have ambushed us? Tu Linglong immediately felt despair. Green Phoenix was also on guard. Chapter 947. Xia Ping of the Human Race? Hearing Tu Linglong's voice, the fleeing demons were also startled. Ignoring the fact that they were being chased by the rock giant, they all looked in Tu Linglong's direction. Compared to the threat of the rock giant, Xiaoping of the human race was clearly more important. Oh my god, it really is Xiaoping of the human race. I'll recognize him even if he turns into ashes, the crow of misfortune shrieked. Its eyeballs almost popped out as it stared at Xiaoping in the distance. Metal Tiger, Three-Eyed Giant, and the other prodigies of the demon race were also shocked. What's going on? Isn't this the trial space of our demon race? How did the humans get in? This doesn't make sense. Is this part of the trial? Are these all illusions? Bullshit illusion. This is Xiaoping. How can an illusion be so real? Could it be that the humans found a flaw in the path of demon kings and took this opportunity to send a group of humans in to compete with us for the opportunity to become demon kings? That's definitely the case. Otherwise, why would these humans appear in the path of demon kings? Shameless humans. All they know is to steal from others and take a free ride. Don't they have the spirit of innovation? Who knows how many good things our demon race has, but these shameless humans used despicable means to steal them. Many demons gritted their teeth. They were so angry that their lungs almost exploded. These shameless humans actually had the face to take a share of the opportunity that originally belonged to their demon race. They all stared angrily at Xiaoping in the distance. Little maid, how have you been? Xiaoping completely ignored the gazes around him and looked at Tu Linglong with a smile. Tu Linglong shrieked. As if remembering the fear of being bullied by Xiaoping, she jumped behind Qing Wan in fright. Her two rabbit ears were swaying gently. Are you a human or a ghost? Why did it appear in the trial mystic realm of our demon race? Tu Linglong seemed to have the support of Qing Wan, so she became a little bolder and asked hesitantly. She was simply stunned by Xiaoping's sudden appearance in this place. She couldn't imagine it even if she racked her brains. If this was a nightmare, she wanted to wake up immediately. Qing Wan also felt very astonished. She also did not think that the important place of the Thousand Demon Mountain would actually be invaded by humans. Before, there was not even the slightest bit of news about it. It was too strange. Why are you here? What's so strange about that? This training space doesn't belong to your family. I can appear whenever I want, Xiaoping said in an overbearing manner, treating this place as his territory. Bullshit. Tu Linglong gritted her teeth. This trial space belongs to our myriad demon mountain. What despicable method did you humans use to get in here? She could be considered to have a new understanding of Xiaoping's shamelessness. This training space clearly belonged to the Wanyao Mountain. It had been like that since ancient times, but this shameless human actually still openly treated this place as his own territory. Little maid, I haven't seen you for a while, but you've grown bolder. You even dare to question your master. Xiaoping cast a sidelong glance at Tu Linglong with a dangerous look. Great Demon King, I won't be afraid of you. Sister Qing Wan is here. This time you won't be able to bully me. Being stared at by Xiaoping like that, Tu Linglong was so scared that she curled up behind Qing Wan, afraid that she would be caught by Xiaoping again. At that time she might even be betrayed again. Xiaoping still wanted to say something, but suddenly he felt tens of dangerous gazes shooting down from the sky. They condensed and condensed, full of killing intent. Just when he was talking to Tu Linglong, these rock giants also discovered Xiaoping's existence. What's going on? Why are there a few small things in this place? From what these monsters said, it seems like they are from a race called humans. They are extremely powerful. Who cares what race they are? External creatures that dare to invade this space must die. Do it, crush this so-called human to death. Tens of rock giants communicated with each other. They quickly reached an agreement and rushed towards Xiaoping. Boom. Just at that moment, a rock giant leaped over from afar and landed in midair. Its fist that was like a small mountain smashed down just like that, bringing along a terrifying astral wind. Under such power, even a small mountain would collapse. Its power was boundless. Seeing this, Xiaoping took a step forward and punched the void, meeting it head-on. Foolish, puny creature. Seeing that Xiaoping actually dared to meet it head-on with his fist, the rock giant immediately burst into laughter. It was as if it was looking at some kind of idiot stupidity to a shocking extent. Who didn't know that rock giants were unparalleled in strength and could easily move mountains and drain seas? Their physiques were also not on the same level. This human was as small as an ant. But even with such a difference in strength, this kid actually dared to punch them head-on. If this wasn't stupidity, then what was? But the moment the rock giant came into contact with Xiaoping's fist, its expression changed drastically. What the hell is this? The rock giant felt that its huge fist that had always been successful had now appeared. Now an extremely strong challenger had appeared. A terrifying power erupted from its fist, toppling the mountains and overturning the seas, like a flood. Just this power alone was enough to overturn its entire body. But what scared it the most was that the opponent's fist force was a spiral fist force like a vortex or an electric drill. It followed along its fist, inch by inch, and finally seeped into its lungs. Ah! The rock giant let out a mournful scream. Its entire body flew across the air and disintegrated in the air. The tyrannical spiral energy seeped into its 5 viscera and 6 bowels. Its arms and legs began to disintegrate inch by inch. The black soul fire that was originally in the depths of its pupils also fell apart because of this punch. The rock giant's body also became fragmented, and gravel flew everywhere. These gravel also fell from the sky, gathered together, and formed a small stone mountain. What? Originally, Tu Linglong thought that she was dead for sure. Being chased by a rock giant meant that she would die without a doubt. The rock giant would punch her into minced meat. But she didn't expect that this great demon king of the human race, Xia Ping, was so ferocious that he was in a complete mess. Not only did he not lose out in strength when fighting the rock giant head-on, he even used the power of his fist technique to break the other party's body. Who knew how many times stronger he was compared to before? At this moment, Xia Ping really had a trace of the aura of a peerless demon. Human, you're courting death. Seeing that one of their companions was blown up by Xia Ping's punch, the remaining rock giants were extremely ferocious. They roared, and many rock giants charged toward Xia Ping. Chapter 948. Immediately, dozens of rock giants rushed over. It was as if dozens of mountains were crushing down, producing an extreme pressure that seemed to block the entire sky. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. Fists that were like mountains smashed over, sealing off any space for Xia Ping to escape. The power was so great that the surrounding air was as heavy as cement. Oh no! Seeing this, Qing Wan's expression changed. Although the rock giants' attacks were mainly aimed at Xia Ping, they were standing at the side and were affected as well. Her reaction was extremely fast. She pulled Tu Linglong and immediately flew to the side, flying hundreds of meters away in a few breaths, out of the attack range of these rock giants. Kunping steps. Xia Ping also used exquisite steps. His entire body was like a Kunpeng, wandering wantonly in the void. His control of the air was superb. The surrounding earth energy vibrated like a whirlpool, constantly strangling, but to the Kunpeng this was the best place. The power of the countless air currents were all for it to use. With a whoosh, his figure flickered and left the attack range of the rock giants. Bang bang bang. In an instant, just as Xia Ping left, the rock giant's fists arrived in an instant and bombarded the ground, immediately creating a deep pit with a diameter of hundreds of meters. Dozens of rock giants' fists smashed down, and the area within a radius of dozens of kilometers trembled. The air currents condensed into a substance, spreading in all directions like sound waves. Many trees were shattered by the sound waves, and many huge rocks were turned into powder. Even the nearby hills showed signs of collapsing, and astonishing cracks appeared everywhere. These were the rock giants, the absolute rulers of the earth. Kill? Although many rock giants were shocked when they failed to hit Xia Ping, they had no intention of holding back. They were like martial Dao masters, displaying their fists and legs, trying to capture Xia Ping's figure. Immediately, a rock giant formed a circle with its hands, as if displaying a martial technique similar to Tai Chi. Its hands produced a terrifying suction force, pulling in countless air currents. With its body as the center, all the air currents within a radius of 2 to 3 kilometers were under its control. It seemed that all living creatures in this area could not escape its control of the air currents. So strong. Seeing this scene, the pupils of the 3 old grandmasters contracted, and they could not help but exclaim out loud. Just the size and agility of the giant alone were already outrageous enough. It was not what ordinary people imagine giants to be. Now he had even grasped a peerless martial technique. This was simply infuriating. Found you, ant, die for me. A ferocious expression appeared on the stone giant's face as it sensed Xia Ping's presence. Its hand blotted out the sky as it slapped out, as if it had sensed Xia Ping's aura and sealed off all of his movements. You want me to die? How could there be such a simple thing? Xia Ping sneered. He did not dodge at all, instead grabbing at the air and pulling out the soul-absorbing bell from his space ring. Under Xia Ping's all-out infusion of astral energy, the bewitching soul bell emitted tinkling sounds. It was like a death knell spreading out in all directions. This power was soundless and formless, so no one could discover it. This spiritual wave crashed towards the rock giant in front of them. Dong. Immediately, the power of this collision was extremely terrifying. It was like a huge hammer hammering into the depths of the rock giant's soul, causing it to feel dizzy. Ah! The rock giant, who was originally majestic, had no power to resist such an attack. It held its head and rolled on the ground, howling crazily as if it had suffered great pain. The surrounding mountains, trees, and rocks were all destroyed by the rock giant's rolling. It was as if they had been crushed into a flat land. The power was amazing. What's going on? Many rock giants were stunned. They had no idea what had happened to their companion. It had clearly not come into contact with this human, but it had fallen to the ground and howled in pain. The surrounding monsters were also stunned. No one knew better than them how terrifying the rock giant was. Its strength was unparalleled and its defense was off the charts. No matter how they attacked it, it would be fine. This was an extremely difficult opponent to deal with. But now it had been defeated by this human without a sound. It was too strange. That's right, a spiritual attack. This must be a spiritual attack. A strange light flashed in Qing Wan's beautiful eyes. Tu Linglong asked curiously, a spiritual attack? The rock giant is extremely powerful. Its entire body is made up of rocks. Even if a rock is broken, they can pick up the gravel on the ground and integrate it into their body to recover quickly. Physical attacks are almost useless against them. Qing Wan explained, but this doesn't mean that the incomparably powerful rock giant has no weaknesses. Their weakness is their soul. They lack a way to deal with spiritual attacks. This human found the weakness of the rock giant and targeted it. With one attack, it was immediately effective. She praised in her heart. This human was indeed extraordinary. In a short period of contact, he immediately found the weakness of the rock giant. With such battle wisdom alone, he was above countless people. Of course, even if he found the opponent's weakness, he might not be able to do it. After all, spiritual attacks were high-level martial arts skills. It could only be performed by creatures with extremely powerful soul power. Without enough talent, it was simply wishful thinking to want to shake the soul of the rock giant. Go to hell. At this moment, Xiaoping no longer had any intention of dodging. He directly rushed forward. In the eyes of others, this was simply a moth flying into the fire. He was digging his own grave. But this group of rock giant was extremely terrified. They knew that this human had mastered the power to restrain the rock giant. It was simply a piece of cake for him to deal with them. Boom! In an instant, the power of the soul-sucking bell exploded. Like waves, circles of tremors, with Xiaoping's body as the center, swept in all directions. These rock giant tried to escape, but there was no way. Even if they were extremely fast, how could they compare to the speed of the transmission of spiritual power? In an instant, the spiritual power bombarded the souls of these rock giant. Ah! Within the coverage of the spiritual power, all the rock giant let out shrill screams. It was as if their souls were ruthlessly smashed by a giant axe and could no longer be repaired. With a thud, their huge bodies fell to the ground. The cluster of soul fire in the depths of their eye sockets was also extinguished. Chapter 949. Damn it, this human has grasped the weakness of our stone giants. How is that possible? Although the soul is our weakness, it's impossible for ordinary mind attacks to shake our souls. That's right. In order to overcome this weakness, who knows how much cultivation we've put in? I can only say that this human soul is extremely powerful. Even the souls of the stone giants are far inferior. Quick run. We can't fight to the death with this human. Otherwise we'll all be wiped out. Return to the encampment immediately and report this to the elder. Seeing dozens of stone giants killed at the same time, their soul flames extinguished, the surviving stone giants in the distance all revealed expressions of shock and anger. They also felt the gap between them. Xiaoping, who had mastered mind-attack mystic arts, was the bane of their race. If they continued fighting, they would only die a violent death. Whoosh! In the blink of an eye, they made a prompt decision, turned around, and ran. Because these stone giants were too huge, they were over 100 meters tall. Once they started running, ordinary people couldn't catch up at all. In a few breaths, they had run more than 5 kilometers. In the blink of an eye, they disappeared from everyone's sight. No way, the stone giants were scared off just like that? The demons who were still fleeing were all dumbfounded when they saw this. They never expected that the stone giants, who had been chasing them to the ends of the earth, would be defeated by Xia Ping and be scared shitless. For a moment they thought they were hallucinating. "Hello everyone." Xia Ping stepped forward and greeted the demons present. "Now that these stone giants have all scrammed, we can have a good talk." "Talk my ass." A demon cursed. It had nothing to talk about with humans. If they didn't fight to the death when they met, it would be considered a good relationship. How could they even talk? Wasn't this nonsense? Before it could finish speaking, Xia Ping made a grabbing motion in the air, and a huge hand of gang energy condensed in midair. Just like how Buddha captured Sun Wukong, the demon was instantly caught. Bang! Immediately, the demon was smashed to the ground like a broken sack, creating a deep pit. Its skin cracked and blood flowed out of its 7 orifices. Clearly, it had been severely injured. "What did you just say? My hearing isn't very good. Can you try saying it again?" Xia Ping smiled as he looked at the half-dead demon at his feet. He did not seem to have any killing intent. What? The demon was in so much pain that he couldn't say a word. He felt as though all the nerves in his body were being bitten by ants, as though he had been subjected to unprecedented torture. When it saw Xia Ping's calm eyes, it was immediately scared to the point of pissing its pants. It was as if it was being stared at by the Grim Reaper. For a moment, it didn't dare to say anything tough, for fear of being killed by Xia Ping with a single slap. "Where do you want to escape to?" With a whoosh, Xia Ping's figure flashed and instantly appeared in front of a rabbit demon who was trying to sneak away. He lifted her up with one hand and made her struggle in mid-air. "Human Demon King, let me go. Let me go." Tu Linglong was so angry that her face turned red and she kept struggling. However, Xia Ping's earth qi instantly seeped into her body and immediately disintegrated the demonic power in her body, making her unable to exert any strength. She was extremely sad and indignant. Being carried in mid-air by a human was a great humiliation to the rabbit race's holy maiden. What a fast speed. Qing Wan, who was at the side, was also shocked. Tu Linglong was by her side just now, but when Xia Ping arrived, she only realized that Xia Ping had arrived. But it was already too late. Tu Linglong was immediately captured by the human. "Sister Qing Wan, save me." Tu Linglong cried for help. "Human, let her go." Qing Wan shouted and slapped over with a hand that was like white jade. It looked abnormally beautiful, but it contained a terrifying might. The entire air seemed to be blown up by this hand. Even though she had lost 50% of her combat power, with the bloodline of a divine beast, her strength and speed were far superior to ordinary demon beasts. She had an overwhelming advantage. Facing this palm, Xia Ping did not dodge. He circulated the dark north body protection technique and immediately condensed a huge energy barrier around his body that flowed like water. Dong. The Vajra's palm slapped Xia Ping's body fiercely, causing a roaring shock. It was like the morning bell and evening drum, and the surrounding air exploded one after another. What? It didn't have any effect? Qing Wan was shocked. Even a demon at the peak of the Grand Master realm would not dare to take this peerless palm of hers casually. Once it was received, it would either be dead or injured. But now, this human was actually unscathed. It was too exaggerated. Boom! At this moment, Xia Ping punched out. His right fist blasted out and smashed on Qing Wan's flat abdomen. Immediately, Qing Wan could not withstand this tremendous force and fell to the ground, weak and powerless. Previously she was severely injured by the rock giant, and this time she was punched by Xia Ping. She had no strength left in her body and fainted on the spot. "Sister Qing Wan!" Tu Linglong exclaimed. She looked at Xia Ping angrily. "Damn human, how dare you hurt Sister Qing Wan? I'm not done with you." She kept struggling, trying to cause great trouble for Xia Ping. "Be quiet. If you make any more noise, I'll eat you, the barbecued kind." Xia Ping glared at Tu Linglong. Suddenly, this glare scared Tu Linglong so much that she did not dare to speak again, for fear that this human demon king would eat her and Sister Qing Wan. The surrounding demons were very angry. This human did not know how to have tender and protective feelings for the fairer sex. It was outrageous that the dignified demon saintess was treated like this. They could not wait to rush up and fight to the death with this human. But after weighing the gap between them, they did not dare to act rashly. Run. At this moment, a Grand Master Eagle demon flapped its wings and flew high. It fled toward the sky at the speed of a supersonic plane, leaving a white trace in the sky. It was trying to escape from Xia Ping's evil rule. It could not fall into the hands of this evil human. Want to run? Xia Ping was expressionless. In an instant he took out a precious bow, the moon-shooting bow. He drew the bow and arrow, condensed the gang chi into an arrow and shot it out at lightning speed. The arrow tore through the air, whistling, and locked on to the eagle demon's chi. Dong. In the next second, the eagle demon's wing was instantly hit, and its huge body flew out. A few seconds later, it was nailed to a huge mountain wall in the distance. Blood dripped from the wound. Even if it wanted to struggle, it could not escape from the arrow. Chapter 950. Feeling Xiaoping's strong murderous aura, the surrounding monsters couldn't help but shiver. They all knew that this human wasn't joking. This guy could do anything. Thinking of this, they all became extremely angry. They just got rid of the rock giant's pursuit, but now they fell into the hands of this hateful human. They really left the wolf's den and entered the tiger's den. They were extremely unlucky. They had no choice but to gather in front of Xiaoping. They didn't dare to run anymore. "Human, what do you want?" a monster asked in a trembling voice. If Xiaoping really wanted to kill them, he could have done it just now. But this human didn't do anything, so he must have some ulterior motives. It's very simple. Xiaoping didn't beat around the bush. He said straightforwardly, "I just came to this space, so I don't know much about this place." What is this so-called space? How can this place help people advance to the king realm? He voiced out his doubts. Hearing this, many monsters became silent. Their eyes flickered as if they didn't want to say it. After all, this was one of the biggest secrets of the monster clan. How could they casually say it? Most importantly, if they were to divulge this secret, then wouldn't that bastard of a human come and snatch away their fortuitous encounters? This kind of thing, like funding the enemy, was absolutely not something that could be done. "Little maid, what do you know?" Xiaoping looked at Tu Linglong with a malicious expression. He felt that this girl would be the easiest to get information from. I don't know anything. Just give up. I won't tell you anything." Being looked at by Xiaoping like this, Tu Linglong was scared, but she was still very stubborn. She definitely wouldn't say anything. No matter what, she was the saintess of the Wanyao Mountain. She would never betray the monster clan. "Forget it. Looking at you, I know you don't know anything. It's a waste of energy to ask." Before Tu Linglong finished speaking, Xiaoping waved his hand. He thought that Tu Linglong probably didn't know anything and was just a puppet. What? Hearing this, Tu Linglong was instantly angered. Her pretty face turned red. "Shameless human, what do you mean? Are you looking down on me?" As the demon race's saintess, she had a high status and was revered by countless demons. However, this bastard actually looked down on her, thinking that she was just a puppet saintess. He was looking down on her too much. As the demon race's saintess, she couldn't accept it. Hey, what are you doing? Why did you pick up Sister Blue Phoenix?" At first, Tu Linglong wanted to yell at Xiaoping and teach him a lesson. As a saintess, her status was quite high. She was definitely not a puppet saintess who knew nothing. But she soon discovered that Xiaoping didn't pay attention to her. Instead, he carried up Qing Luan, who had fainted on the ground, looking like he wanted to lift his feet and leave. Instantly, she became anxious and stepped forward to stop him. "Why are you carrying me? Of course we'll go to a remote cave and wake her up. Then we'll torture her and force out information about this trial space." Xiaoping explained his series of plans. "This chick is a divine beast. I don't know how much higher her status is than a rabbit like you. She definitely knows a lot of things." Torture. Hearing these words, Tu Linglong almost went crazy. Right now, Big Sister Blue Luan was in a coma, so how was this shameless human going to torture Big Sister Blue Luan? This shameless human must have taken a fancy to Sister Qing Luan's beauty, and his lust was aroused. Thinking about Bai Xian, he couldn't control his beastly nature, and wanted to find a cave nearby to solve the problem. Thinking about the pure, flawless, noble and elegant Sister Blue Phoenix being raped by this animal human and waking up with a dead heart, Tu Linglong felt that she was going crazy. She absolutely couldn't allow such a thing to happen. When the other demons saw this situation, they immediately knew what this animal human wanted to do. However, they couldn't do anything and could only watch the demon race's saintess being bullied by this human. Some demons thought even further. If because of this matter, the demon race's saintess and this human got together and gave birth to a half-human half-demon descendant, the entire Wanyao Mountain would probably be shaken. Animal. Tu Linglong gritted her teeth. Her beautiful eyes were spewing fire. She simply wanted to eat Xiaoping like a meat bun. "Alright, I don't want to chat with a little girl like you. Time is precious. I have to do something quickly." Xiaoping waved his hand. He didn't care about Tu Linglong's anger. He wanted to carry Blue Phoenix and run away. Stop. Tu Linglong immediately jumped over and opened her arms to block Xia Ping. I won't let you bully Sister Blue Phoenix. Don't you want to know the secret of this trial space? I can tell you everything, but you can't bully Sister Blue Phoenix. She revealed an expression of serving a tiger with her body. She had already made up her mind. Forget it. Xia Ping looked at Tu Linglong with disdain. What can a little girl like you know? You must be lying. You want to fabricate nonsense. Do you think I will fall for it? Don't use your barren brain to measure my intelligence. Do you understand? He looked down on Tu Linglong. Human, don't go too far. Tu Linglong was going crazy. What do I have to do to make you believe me? She was fuming with anger. She clearly wanted to expose the secret, but this human didn't believe her at all. He thought she was fabricating nonsense. If he really was intelligent, how could he not tell whether she was telling the truth or not? This human was clearly doing this on purpose. His goal was to bully Sister Blue Phoenix. All right. Xia Ping raised his brows. Since you've said that, I'll be merciful and listen to what you have to say. Remember, don't make things up. Any lies will be seen through by my wise eyes. He warned Tu Linglong. Don't worry, I definitely won't lie, Tu Linglong said seriously. The surrounding demons were all going crazy. Especially the metal tiger, the crow of misfortune, the three-eyed giant, and the other demon race prodigies. How could they not see that this human was bluffing? His goal was to pry the secret of this trial space from Tu Linglong's mouth. Now Tu Linglong had been fooled by this shameless human. The problem was, even if they knew the human's true goal, they couldn't stop him. If any of them dared to speak up, they would most likely be killed by this human. They could feel the faint killing intent from Xia Ping's body. This was an overt scheme using force to suppress others. Chapter 951. This trial space is actually a small secret realm, Tu Linglong said. Tu Linglong said, it was created by the ancient mighty figures of our demon race. There are a total of 5 major races living in this small secret realm, and they are the Blackwood race, the Rock Giant race, the Mech race, the Drought Demon race, and the Slime race. These 5 races are not from the Cloud Realm. The ancient almighty of the demon clan personally traveled through the void and went to various planets to capture them. According to you humans, they are all aliens. Xia Ping's eyes flickered. Although he knew that the creatures in this trial space were not simple, he did not expect that they were not native to the Cloud Realm, but from other planets. Why did the ancient almighty of the demon clan capture the 5 races and bring them to this secret realm? Xia Ping asked. If the 5 races did not have a huge secret, they would not have been targeted by the ancient almighty of the demon clan. The reason is simple. Tu Linglong said in a low voice, because the 5 races all have special abilities. They control the power of wood, earth, metal, fire, and water respectively. The 5 races represent the power of the 5 elements. Xia Ping did not speak and continued to listen to Tu Linglong. Of course, controlling the power of the 5 elements is nothing. Many monsters in the Myriad Monster Mountain can also control it, Tu Linglong said. The problem is that they have another special ability, and that is to cultivate spirit fruits. Wherever they live, there will be extremely precious spirit fruits. They are the wood spirit fruit, earth spirit fruit, metal spirit fruit, fire spirit fruit, and water spirit fruit. Every single one of the spirit fruits on the list contains a huge amount of energy. Consuming one of them will bring great benefits. If you can gather all 5 spirit fruits and consume them at the same time, the 5 elements will merge into one and you will be able to raise your life to the king realm, no matter how weak you are. She said that the most precious secret of this trial space was the 5 spirit fruits. If you could obtain all 5 spirit fruits and consume them at the same time, you would be able to break through to the king realm and open all your acupoints. The 5 spirit fruits. The 3 human grandmasters were tempted when they heard this. The bottleneck that had troubled them for so long could be broken through by consuming a few spirit fruits. It was really unbelievable. However, this wasn't a joke. After all, the heavens and the earth were vast, and there was nothing that didn't exist. Even spirit fruits that could assist one in breaking through into the king realm definitely existed. No way, 5-element spiritual fruit? In this countryside there is actually a 5-element spirit fruit? Corinne, who had been staying on Xia Ping's body, immediately cried out in alarm when he heard these words. What? Are the 5-element spirit fruits very precious in the universe? Xia Ping's heart moved and he immediately asked. Corinne nodded his head. Of course it's precious. Even Zifu Realm, Divine Power Realm cultivators are eager to get 5-element spirit fruit. It can greatly enhance their magic power and save them several hundred years of cultivation time. Such a precious spirit fruit would be coveted even in the universe. Using it to break through to the King Realm is a matter of course. However, doing this is simply a waste of God's given gifts. It represented the Blackwood race, the Rock Giant race, the Metal Machine race, the Drought Demon race, and the Slime race. Even in the universe, they were all rather tyrannical races. The spirit fruits cultivated by these races were basically hard to come by. Now, someone actually dared to capture these 5 races, lock them up in a secret realm, and specifically produce spirit fruits for them as slaves. This courage was simply terrifying. If the leaders of these 5 races came to know about this, it was estimated that even if they were separated by hundreds of millions of light years, they would personally come to kill them. They wouldn't rest until they exterminated the enemy. Remember, you must obtain these 5-element spirit fruits. They will greatly speed up your cultivation. Corinne excitedly said, I originally thought that in such a poor and remote place, there wouldn't be any treasures. Even if I wanted to advance to a higher realm, I don't know how many years it would take. Now that you have the 5-element spirit fruits, you will really be rich. The resources you will get will not be inferior to those disciples of big sections. He reminded Xiaoping to obtain the 5-element spirit fruits. Where can I get these 5-element spirit fruits? Xiaoping asked. Tu Linglong said, it's in the internal orchard of these 5 races. That place is heavily guarded and tightly guarded. It's not that easy to get in. Previously we tried to enter the Rock Giant tribe, but we were immediately discovered by them. As a result, we were chased for dozens of kilometers and almost killed. She was very helpless. She originally thought that since the Rock Giant was huge and they were very small, they wouldn't be discovered by the Rock Giant if they quietly entered. This was the easiest kind of spirit fruit to obtain. But who would have thought that these Rock Giants were extremely cautious and proficient in secret techniques? Even if a fly flew past, it would be detected by them. As a result, they were miserable. If Xiaoping hadn't come to this place, it was estimated that more than half of them would have died. The 5-element spirit fruits can only be found in the encampments of these 5 races. The 3 human grandmasters were also silent. This was the real trial of this trial space. After seeing the Blackwood race and the Rock Giant race, they knew how tyrannical these 5 races were. Wanting to enter deep into their encampments to obtain spirit fruits was as difficult as ascending to heaven. It was no wonder that these demon race prodigies entered this trial space without obtaining anything. This was also a matter of course. Then do you know how to leave this trial space? Xiaoping. The eyes of the 3 human grandmasters lit up. This was the most crucial question. Even if they couldn't obtain the 5-element spirit fruit, they could still leave this damn place safely. There's only one way. Tu Linglong stretched out a finger. That is to advance to the King Realm. There's no other way. What do you mean? Lu Qi couldn't help but ask. It means exactly what it says. This space is simply a cage used to trap the 5 races and prevent them from leaving. Naturally, there's no exit. Tu Linglong said, but this is also the trial space of our demon race, so it can't possibly trap the descendants of the demon race. So, an ancient almighty has set up a rule of heaven and earth in this space. Only by advancing to the King Realm and exceeding the limits of this world will one be automatically expelled and leave this trial space. Apart from that, one will either be killed by the 5 races or die of old age in this place. So that's how it is. Xiaoping came to a sudden understanding. This was why those who didn't advance to the King Realm would definitely die in this trial space. If one didn't advance to the King Realm, it was impossible to leave even if one wanted to. Chapter 952. Have you found the nests of the 5 major races? Xiaoping asked. Tu Linglong said helplessly, so far we can only find the nests of the Rock Giants. We haven't found the nests of the other races yet. After all, we haven't had enough time. Okay. Xiaoping nodded and gave an order. Then your next job is to find the nests of these races. As the saying goes, know yourself and know your enemy and you will always be victorious. What? Many of the monsters' faces turned green. What did this bastard human mean? He even said that their next job was to find the nests of the 5 major races. What did he think they were? Servants of this human that could be ordered around by him? What's wrong? What are you dissatisfied with? I personally saved your lives and now I'm just asking you to do some small things. Do you think I'm wronging you? Xiaoping narrowed his eyes and revealed a dangerous glint. Save my ass. The group of demons was infuriated. Although it seemed like the outcome, they did not ask the human to save them at all. Most importantly, this human definitely didn't want to save them. It was just a coincidence. Even so, they still dared to come and ask for credit. Did they have any shame? However, in the face of Xiaoping's bullying, they didn't dare to say anything. Not at all. Not at all. That's right. Anyway, finding the nests of the 5 major races is our job. This is Brother Xia's request. How could we dare to disobey? The monsters were extremely sullen. They covered their conscience and spoke. Very good. Xiaoping nodded with satisfaction. Now let's find a place to rest for the time being. He waved his hand and planned to find a temporary foothold in this mystic realm. At this moment, the big shots of the Blackwood race, Rock Giant race, Metal Machine race, Drought Demon race, and Slime race gathered together. This time we called everyone here for no other reason than that those bastards of the monster race came again and tried to snatch our 5-element spirit fruit. There was even an accident this time. Some humans also came, and one of them posed a huge threat to our Blackwood race. A 100-meter-tall black tree stood on the ground, its black roots piercing into the ground. A black aura permeated the surroundings, corroding the ground in a radius of tens of meters. From afar it looked like a shadow. This was the leader of the Blackwood tribe. At this moment, his face was extremely gloomy. The death of hundreds of his tribesmen was something the Blackwood tribe couldn't bear. Leader Blackwood, what can mere humans do? Isn't it because your Blackwood tribe is too weak that you were beaten to the point of fleeing like rats, resulting in countless casualties? The one who spoke was the Drought Demon tribe's leader. Its entire body was pitch black like a dried corpse. It wore a Taoist robe, and its surroundings were suffused with a scorching aura. The ground was immediately scorched black. This was also the result of the Drought Demon leader controlling his own power. If he used his full power, everything within a dozen miles would be scorched. It would be like a drought. The Blackwood race was also a wood-type race, so they were naturally averse to the Drought Demon race. The two races rarely interacted, and once they met, they couldn't help but oppose each other. You. The Blackwood leader's eyes revealed a trace of coldness as he stared at the Drought Demon leader. Enough, don't quarrel. The Rock Giant leader spoke. We, the Rock Giants, encountered this human not long ago. He has mastered a secret mental technique that restrains our Rock Giant race. In the end, dozens of Rock Giants were killed by that human. He can't be underestimated. Its expression was solemn as it acted as a mediator, advising the leaders of the two races. As soon as the Rock Giant leader spoke, the Blackwood leader and the Drought Demon tribe leader both coldly snorted, but they didn't continue to oppose each other. This showed the Rock Giant leader's might. Even the Rock Giant leader says so. It seems this human is no small matter. The Metal Robot leader spoke. Its appearance was like a skeleton, and it was completely made of metal. When it spoke, its voice resounded like metal rubbing against each other. Its eyes seemed to be flickering with lightning energy, emitting a deep blue radiance. That's right. That human must be captured and killed. Otherwise he will spoil our plans of many years. The Blackwood leader's killing intent soared. I suggest that the 5 major races send out experts to conduct a carpet search until that human is completely annihilated. It wanted to use the power of the 5 major races to deal with that hateful human together. The 5 major races send out experts? Aren't you thinking too highly of that human? The Drought Demon tribe leader still felt that this was making a mountain out of a molehill. No, it's not making a mountain out of a molehill at all. Even a lion will use its full strength to capture a rabbit. The Rock Giant leader spoke in a deep voice. My Rock Giant race can send out 1,000 elite soldiers. It supported the Blackwood leader's request. My Metal Robot race can also send out 1,000 elite soldiers. The Metal Robot leader spoke calmly. It was very simple and direct, just like a robot. If it agreed, it agreed. If it rejected, it rejected. It definitely wouldn't be ambiguous. Slime leader, what do you think? The Rock Giant leader looked at the slime leader in front of it. This slime leader didn't have eyes, mouth, or ears. It was just a blob of green liquid about the size of a basketball. This slime leader looked weak, but these leaders all knew that this slime leader was the most terrifying creature. Once touched by a slime, it would instantly envelop the enemy's body, and within a few breaths the enemy would be completely corroded. Moreover, it was in a liquid state. Normal physical attacks had almost no effect on it. I have no objections. I agree with everyone's opinion. The slime leader spoke. However, it didn't speak. Instead, it transmitted its voice telepathically into everyone's mind. One couldn't hear any emotions from its voice at all. What about the Drought Demon Tribe leader? The rock giant leader looked at the Drought Demon Tribe leader. Since even the slime leader has agreed, then there's no point in me refusing. The Drought Demon Tribe leader snorted coldly. It didn't refuse anymore. After all, the 4 leaders had agreed to this. Even if it stubbornly resisted, it would be meaningless. And most importantly, if that human really had such a threatening ability, then eradicating him now might not be a bad thing. That's good. The Blackwood leader said excitedly, there's no time to lose. I suggest starting tomorrow. We definitely can't give that hateful human a chance to breathe. Chapter 953. Late at night. In a secluded cave. This cave was extremely large with many twists and turns. There were also many small caves in it. Many monsters chose a small cave at random to rest in. Tu Linglong also chose a small cave to take care of the unconscious Cyan Luan. At this time, Xiaoping was also at the entrance of the deepest cave, which was blocked with rocks to avoid being disturbed by others. At this moment he sat cross-legged on the ground and ran the pure yang immortal technique. The gang qi in his body roared and vibrated. With his body as the center, it immediately formed a huge vortex of primordial qi. It's time to break through to the 7th heaven of supreme power realm. Xiaoping clenched his fists. Seeing the power of the Blackwood clan and the Rock Giant clan, he knew that it was not so easy to get the 5-element spirit fruit in this trial space. With his current strength it was far from enough. He had to further improve his martial arts cultivation. Moreover, he felt that after these days of consolidation and cultivation, the bottleneck of his martial arts was getting looser and looser. More importantly, the purple blood ginseng and silver fruit he had taken before still contained a lot of medicinal power in his body. Now, after continuous refining and absorption, they were transformed into the gang qi in his body. The gang qi in his body surged like a flood without a dam, surging wildly in every meridian in his body. It was also like a dragon rioting in his body, roaring. Bang, bang. Xiaoping felt his body tremble. One by one, his acupoints were broken by the surging gang qi. In just a few breaths he had opened 5 or 6 acupoints in a row. It's not enough. I have to take a lot of spiritual liquid. Soon, Xiaoping found that the purple blood ginseng and silver fruit in the depths of his body were almost consumed and could not support him to continue to break through the remaining acupoints. But it didn't matter. From the Shark Demon King's lair, he not only got a lot of purple blood ginseng and silver fruit, but also a lot of spiritual liquid. This spiritual liquid also contained a lot of energy which was of great benefit to a guru. Rumble, Xiaoping immediately swallowed the spiritual liquid. He ran the pure yang immortal technique and quickly digested the energy of the spiritual liquid and transformed it into gang qi. What a rich energy! Xiaoping perked up and inwardly marveled. As expected of the spirit liquid from the Shark Demon Monarch. Anything produced by a demon monarch must be of high quality. After taking it, the spiritual liquid provided a large amount of energy to his body. It was like filling up a car with gasoline, and he could drive it to full speed in an instant. Bang bang. In the blink of an eye, Xiaoping felt that the remaining acupoints were easily broken through by the huge energy, and he was promoted to the 7th level of supreme power in an instant. This kind of breakthrough was like water flowing when the conditions were right. This is the 7th heaven of supreme power? Xiaoping felt as though he had entered a whole new realm. Every one of his insight acupoints felt as though there was a golden crow of hell residing there. This was an illusion formed from countless streams of fiery astral energy. If someone could look within themselves, they would see that the golden crows of hell seemed to have gained a trace of spirituality. Their eyes seemed to have intelligence as if they were about to come to life. He felt that his control over his stellar energy had increased to a whole new level. With a casual grab, his stellar energy vibrated, and a flaming bird condensed above his right hand. It seemed like it was about to flap its wings and fly away. Fly. Xiaoping's spiritual force penetrated into it and seemed to be integrated with the flaming bird, making it produce a trace of spirituality. With a wave of his hand, the flaming bird flew out. With a few whooshes, the flaming bird hovered in the air with a zigzag trajectory. In an instant, it smashed toward a stone wall in the distance. With a bang, the flaming bird smashed a big hole in an instant. The flames burned and even the rocks were burned into lava. The temperature of the cave was also rising sharply. My spiritual force has also increased. Xiaoping closed his eyes and felt that his spiritual force was also 3 times stronger than before. It continued to spread out, and the area within a radius of 20 or 30 miles was covered by his spiritual force. Within this range, no flying insect, bird, or beast could hide from his perception. He was like a god. What is this? Xia Ping felt the wonderful spread of his spiritual force. However, when he gathered all his spiritual force in his body and penetrated into every cell of his body, it finally reached his brain. He immediately discovered that in the depths of his brain, there seemed to be a purple door that had appeared out of thin air. It was engraved with many noble and ancient inscriptions, and it was mysterious and unfathomable. It lay across the void of his brain and it was indomitable. It was obstructing him from exploring the deepest part of his brain. Previously, Xia Ping was unable to discover the existence of this purple door. It seemed that only when one's spiritual force reached a certain realm would one be qualified to discover the existence of this domain. Purple Palace, could this be the legendary Purple Palace? Xia Ping's spiritual force shook. He instinctively sensed that this might be the legendary Purple Palace. This was the most profound and mysterious domain of the human body. Once the Purple Palace was established, one would be able to condense magic power and advance to the King realm. However, establishing the Purple Palace was as difficult as ascending to the heavens. Not to mention anything else, just sensing the existence of the Purple Palace was impossible for ordinary martial artists. If one could sense the existence of the Purple Palace, then it would be possible for him to break through to the King realm. I wonder if I can establish the Purple Palace now? Xia Ping thought in his heart. He let his imagination run wild. He circulated the spiritual force in his body and transformed it into a spear. He fiercely smashed it towards the purple door. Bang! This collision caused his entire body to tremble, and even his soul to tremble. It could be said that the strength of this strike was extremely terrifying. It struck the purple door to the point it droned and shook without end. However, this purple door was too hard, so even if it suffered such a terrifying attack, it wasn't damaged in the slightest. It was even to the extent that a terrifying backlash came from it. Pooh! Xia Ping felt the backlash and he couldn't help but spit out a mouthful of blood. His countenance was ghastly pale as his blood sprayed all over the ground. The hot blood that sprayed onto the ground was simply like lava that sizzled and emanated strands of white smoke. This won't do. It's slightly difficult to establish the Purple Palace now. Xia Ping felt that the purple door in the depths of his brain was extremely heavy, and even with his formidable spiritual force, it was impossible for him to shake it in a short period of time. No matter what, he was only at the 7th level of the Grandmaster realm, so wanting to establish the Purple Palace now was truly looking down upon the King realm. But this is a good thing as well. Xia Ping quickly became excited. He'd obtained from Corinne that sensing the existence of the Purple Palace was already the first step into the King realm, and countless Grandmasters had fallen at this level. Chapter 954. The next morning. Only then did Qing Wan wake up. She opened her beautiful eyes and immediately saw Tu Linglong, whose eyes were red and had not slept for the whole night. Sister Qing Wan, that's great. You're finally awake. Tu Linglong saw Qing Wan wake up and immediately shouted in surprise. Linglong, are you alright? Where's that human? Qing Wan looked around vigilantly. At the last moment before she fainted, she remembered that she was knocked out by that hateful human. And at that time, her aura was completely suppressed by that human Xia Ping, and none of the monsters dared to resist. The situation was so critical, but what was going on now? She didn't seem to be hurt at all, and Tu Linglong also didn't seem to be abused and bullied by that hateful human. I'm fine. Tu Linglong stuttered, her eyes flickered. She didn't dare to tell Qing Wan that in order to save her, she foolishly revealed the biggest secret of the path of the Demon King and became a traitor of the demon race. How can you be fine? Did that human bully you? I'll deal with him immediately, even if I have to pay with my life. Qing Wan gritted her teeth, endured the pain in her body and struggled to get up. No, Sister Qing Wan, it's not what you think. Seeing Qing Wan like this, Tu Linglong knew that Qing Wan must have misunderstood something. She quickly told Qing Wan the truth and stopped her from getting up, lest her injuries continue to worsen. So that's how it is. After hearing Tu Linglong's words, Qing Wan immediately heaved a sigh of relief. As long as Tu Linglong wasn't bullied by that beast of a human, everything could be salvaged. Sister Qing Wan, don't you blame me for revealing the biggest secret of this trial mystic realm? Tu Linglong was like a child who had done something wrong, lowering her head and looking very depressed. No, I don't blame you at all. Qing Wan shook her head. According to this human's intelligence, I believe that as long as he stays in this trial space for a little longer, he will eventually reveal the secret of this trial space. This can't be stopped at all. And there are many monsters participating in this trial. Not all of them are upright and plain-spoken. There will always be a few monsters who reveal the secret of the path of the Demon King in order to save their lives. Even if you didn't say it, it doesn't mean that other monsters won't say it. So, you don't have to blame yourself for this. She comforted the dejected Tu Linglong, telling her that it wasn't her fault and that she had made the best choice out of her last resort. But Tu Linglong looked at the blue Wan eagerly. Qing Wan waved her hand. No buts. In short, this matter is not your fault. At least you saved my life. Isn't that your greatest contribution this time? By the way, where is that human? She tried to change the topic, not wanting to get entangled in this matter any longer. As expected, Tu Linglong was immediately fooled. She said angrily, I don't know. Last night he locked himself in a cave and didn't come out at all. He was very mysterious. I don't know what he's up to. Sister Blue Phoenix, you also know that this human is full of evil tricks. In the human world, he is also an existence that everyone wants to beat up. He is an existence that is hated by all. For him to not cause trouble for one night, he must be brewing some big scheme. Her impression of Xia Ping was simply extremely bad. She didn't have a good impression of him at all. She thought that he might be brewing some evil scheme just by resting peacefully for one night. The legendary great demons were like this. If they didn't scheme against people every day, they would feel uncomfortable all over. This was already a habit that was deeply rooted in their bones, and it couldn't be changed at all. Is that so? Why don't I know that I'm an existence that everyone wants to beat up in the human world? Who exactly is gossiping around you? Tell me his identity immediately, and I promise I won't beat him to death. Immediately, a voice sounded. Tu Linglong originally wanted to continue cursing that demon human, but she suddenly heard this demon-like familiar voice. She immediately jumped in fright. She turned around and immediately saw Xia Ping in front of her. Tu Linglong was immediately startled. Why are you here? Aren't you still staying in seclusion in the depths of the cave? Why are you here? Could it be that you want to attack Sister Blue Phoenix at night when I'm not prepared? Various evil scenes appeared in her little head, including Xia Ping doing all kinds of indescribable things to Sister Blue Phoenix, who was sleeping soundly without any resistance. Bang! Before she could finish speaking, Xia Ping stretched out his right hand and knocked Tu Linglong's little head forcefully. Don't change the topic. Where did you get this false information from? Tu Linglong covered her head that was almost swollen. She was in so much pain that she almost cried. This bastard human was really too ruthless. He didn't have the slightest tenderness for the fairer sex at all. Don't touch Linglong. The blue Wan struggled, and in the blink of an eye she kicked towards Xia Ping. Her slender white legs streaked across the air, forming a beautiful arc that was dazzling to the eyes. Not bad. As expected of a divine beast's physique. It's only been one night, and her injuries have recovered to this extent. Xia Ping raised his eyebrows and immediately sensed that the injuries on the Blue Phoenix's body were actually almost healed. She had clearly suffered extremely serious injuries before, but with the help of the healing power in her body, her injuries were almost healed in one night. This self-healing ability was far above that of countless demons. However, although he was praising her, he had no intention of showing mercy. Dong. Xia Ping gently patted with his hand, like an eagle catching a chick, and instantly grabbed the long leg of the Blue Phoenix. The tyrannical Gang Chi immediately offset the huge demonic power on the Blue Phoenix. The two collided and immediately burst out a loud sound. The sound waves vibrated and the dust rolled. How is it possible? In just one night, your martial arts cultivation has improved again? Blue Phoenix was stunned. She had just fought with Xia Ping yesterday. Although Xia Ping was also strong at that time, he was the most terrifying one today. The Gang Chi on his body was incredibly strong, and he easily dissolved all the demonic power in her body. It was as unfathomable as the sea. This was something that Xia Ping could not compare with yesterday. Yes, I have been promoted to the 7th heaven of Supreme Power Realm. Xia Ping looked at the Blue Phoenix and said, You're quite bold. You even dare to attack me. It seems that if I don't teach you a lesson, you won't know who the master of this place is. There was a dangerous light in his eyes. What do you want? Chapter 955. Humph, don't tell me you don't know what I want to do? Xia Ping sneered and looked Qing Wan up and down. The look in his eyes became more and more dangerous. It's over, this time it's completely over. This is clearly going to be fucked. Tu Linglong's face turned pale. She could completely see through this shameless human's evil thoughts. Because of her obstruction yesterday, this beast's beastly nature was suppressed for an entire night. However, a beast was still a beast. How could he be suppressed for a lifetime? Perhaps enduring for one night was this shameless human's limit. Don't act recklessly. I'm the saintess of the Thousand Goblin Mountain. If you dare to do anything to me, the Thousand Goblin Mountain will never let you go. Qing Wan pretended to be fierce. She grabbed onto the last straw and hoped that Xia Ping wouldn't act rashly. Otherwise, it would definitely create a huge rift between the human and the Yao race. It's none of my business. If you have the guts, ask those Yao kings to bite me. Xia Ping was very disdainful. Bastard human. Qing Wan now understood why Sister Linglong hated this human so much. This bastard human was extremely daring and didn't care about the consequences when he did things. Obviously, he also wouldn't care about her identity as the saintess of the Thousand Goblin Mountain. If he really had some considerations, this brat wouldn't have dared to capture the descendants of the Yao kings and even auction them on the spot. This human was simply a lawless person. Now she actually fell into this human's hands. This was simply 8 lifetimes of bad luck. Demon human, didn't you promise me that as long as I told you the secret of the Yao King's path, you wouldn't bully Sister Qing Wan? Tu Linglong glared at Xia Ping angrily, thinking that this human didn't keep his promise. I did, but seeing your arrogant attitudes, I decided to temporarily change my mind. Xia Ping revealed a look as if it was all their fault. Since you angered me, you must pay the price. This is the first precious life principle that I'll teach you too. I hope you can cherish it. And little maid, don't even think about escaping this time. What? Tu Linglong's pretty face turned pale. What did this human mean? She couldn't even think about escaping. Could it be that this human thought that Sister Qing Wan alone couldn't satisfy him and he already wanted to lay his hands on her, a virgin? This time he wanted to kill 2 birds with 1 stone. Did he want the 2 of them to serve 1 man? Thinking of this, she spat on the ground. This lust human was shameless, thinking of such dirty and shameless things all day long. He didn't know how to do proper things. Sooner or later, this bastard would die on a woman's belly. Evidently, Qing Wan had the same thoughts. Her beautiful eyes were filled with fury. Once this bastard human dared to harm her and her sister Linglong, even if she had to pay a huge price, she would make this human suffer. She would let him clearly understand that it was not so easy to take advantage of the demon race's holy maiden. Alright, I won't waste any more words with you. Let's begin. Xia Ping waved his hand, completely ignoring the furious gazes of the 2 saintesses, Tu Linglong and Qing Wan, and immediately attacked. First, he left the cave and took out a parcel. There were 2 sets of maid costumes inside. As for these 2 sets of maid outfits, he had inadvertently placed them in his space ring. They had not been of much use to him before, so he had forgotten about them. Now was the right time to take them out and teach the 2 saintesses a profound lesson. With a few claps, Xia Ping forced Tu Linglong and Qing Wan to change into the maid costumes. Suddenly, the temperament of the 2 changed greatly. From saintesses, they became cute little maidservants and mature and charming housekeepers. In particular, the 2 saintesses' figures were very hot. Wearing extremely close-fitting maid costumes, they could even better set off their figures. Seeing this, the male animals were dumbfounded, and their hormones increased sharply. What do you want to do to us? Tu Linglong and Qing Wan were going crazy. Their pretty faces were flushed and they were at a loss. Wearing such clothes was really extremely shameful. This was clearly a set of clothes created by a shameless male human for his own pleasure. From head to toe, there was not the slightest sense of beauty. Especially Qing Wan, she was usually noble, generous, and mature, just like an empress. Her every move was dignified and elegant, and she had accepted the etiquette of a king. When had she ever worn such shameless clothes? This had completely overturned her usual image. For her, wearing this shameful maid costume was no different from not wearing any clothes. Although Tu Linglong had also worn this set of clothes in Xia Ping's villa, now that she was wearing it again, she was reliving the humiliation from back then. This made her feel extremely ashamed and she wanted to die from embarrassment. This is a lesson for you. Xia Ping stood with his hands behind his back and said indifferently, from now on, you will be obedient maids by my side. Wash clothes, fold blankets, pour tea and pass water. You have to do everything well. Otherwise, you can imagine the consequences. He stated his requirements. Be a maid. Tu Linglong and Qing Wan were very angry. As the saintesses of the demon race, it was a basic requirement for them to not do any chores. It had always been others who served them and they did not need to serve a man. This was a joke, then it was a big joke. Where did this maid costume come from? Tu Linglong gritted her teeth. Xia Ping said matter-of-factly, of course it was brought in from outside. Pervert. Qing Wan instantly scolded, you came into this trial space from outside and you didn't take anything else. You actually took 2 sets of maid costumes. What are you trying to do? She was simply crazy. She couldn't imagine it at all. One had to know how dangerous this trial space was. If you didn't become a king you would die. The death rate was above 99%. Normal people, in order to deal with the dangers of this trial space, would bring all sorts of important resources such as weapons, healing pills, defensive weapons, and so on. However, because people's power was limited, the things that each person could bring were extremely limited. They had to be carefully selected. But this human actually brought 2 sets of maid costumes in his bag. What kind of perverted thoughts did he have to bring these things in? What was his goal? Did he want to wear them himself, or did he already target the 2 of them? Even she couldn't think of Xia Ping's goal. Probably even the great wisdom of Wanyao Mountain couldn't think of it. Why do you care what I want to do? Anyway, if you dare to resist, then don't blame me for being impolite. Xia Ping was very domineering. He didn't have any intentions of explaining at all. There had never been a maid who dared to question her master in front of his face. Qing Wan and Tu Linglong were very angry. This human was too domineering and unreasonable. Big brother Xia. Chapter 956. Yeah. The Crow of Misfortune and the other demons had just entered the cave. When they saw Tu Linglong and Qing Wan, their pupils contracted, and they couldn't help but cry out. Because such clothes really surprised them. In their eyes, Qing Wan, who had always been dignified, elegant, and noble, had never worn such clothes. However, they had to admit that it had a unique flavor, and people couldn't help but turn into wolves. As for Tu Linglong, the clothes were too suitable for her. With her pretty face, she was just like a little maid who was used to being bullied by her master. Qing Wan and Tu Linglong didn't expect to encounter demons of the same race coming in at this time, and they were suddenly seen in such a shameful scene. If there was a hole in the ground now, they simply wanted to crawl into it immediately, and they would be so embarrassed that they couldn't face anyone. The 2 beautiful faces suddenly blushed, and their beauty was indescribable. It was as if the dim cave had become a lot brighter, as if they were goddesses under the moon. What do you want? Xia Ping was calm and composed, as if he was completely unaware of what was happening around him, and he seemed to be used to it. Beastly humans. Both Qing Wan and Tu Linglong cursed in their hearts. Such a shameful thing had clearly happened, but he still showed an expression as if nothing had happened. His skin was simply too thick. Compared to this guy's skin, that little bit of martial arts talent was simply a fart. If there was a divine skill of being thick-skinned in this world, he would definitely be a first-class master, the kind that even a nuclear bomb couldn't penetrate. Big brother Xia, the Crow of Misfortune and the other monsters all looked at each other, then at Xia Ping and then at Tu Linglong and Qing Wan. They felt that the atmosphere was very strange and they didn't know what to say. Speak freely if you have anything to say. Of course, if there's nothing important, but you come to disturb me for no reason, I will be very angry, and the consequences will be quite serious. To be honest, when I get angry, even I am afraid of myself. Xia Ping looked at the Crow of Misfortune and the other monsters with a smile. Demon. This human is simply a demon in human skin. Looking at Xia Ping's smiling face, the Crow of Misfortune and the other monsters didn't feel a trace of warmth. Instead, they felt cold all over, as if there was a cold current spreading through their bodies, freezing their bones. They also knew why Xia Ping was so angry. It was definitely because they had rashly come in and disturbed the humans' fun, so he vented his anger on them. Thinking of this, they didn't dare to continue keeping him in suspense. They didn't even dare to comment on Tu Linglong's and Green Wan's clothes. They could only turn a blind eye. The Crow of Misfortune immediately said, "Brother Xia, this is what happened. Previously, according to your instructions, we went to search the encampments of the 5 major races, but we found something else. What did you find?" Xia Ping raised his eyebrows. He was very interested in this matter. We found that all 5 major races seem to have been mobilized. The Crow of Misfortune looked at Xia Ping strangely. They are searching for Brother Xia's whereabouts everywhere in this mystic realm. They seem to be planning to capture and kill you. It revealed the news that the monsters had found him. What? Tu Linglong and Qing Wan were both dumbfounded. This scoundrel had just entered this trial space not long ago, but he had actually forced the 5 major races to join forces to hunt him down. Just what did this scoundrel do to incur the wrath of the heavens? To be honest, they had only seen Xia Ping deal with the rock golem. They didn't know that he had also dealt with the Blackwood race. Furthermore, he had personally taken action and killed over 100 of them. It could be said that he had killed many members of the 2 major races. He had immediately become the most wanted criminal of the 5 major races. If they wanted to kill him, the consequences would be quite severe. They still dare to hunt me down? They're quite bold. Xia Ping clenched his fists. Where are those fellows right now? I'll immediately lead the army to exterminate them as a warning. He was brimming with killing intent. He planned to lead a group of demons to find trouble with the 5 major races and strike first to gain the upper hand. Led an army? Tu Linglong and Qing Wan were both stunned. What did that mean? Since when did all of them become this human subordinates? Since when could they be commanded by this fellow as he pleased? Moreover, this matter was caused by this scoundrel. The 5 major races were also looking for trouble with this brat. What right did he have to shamelessly drag them down with him? He was trying to make them take the blame for him. He was too shameless. Hearing this, the faces of the Crow of Misfortune and the other demons turned green. If Xia Ping insisted, they wouldn't be able to refuse even if they wanted to. However, if they were to fight to the death with the 5 major races now, this fellow might be full of vigor and vitality, but they might be sacrificed in vain. No one would cry for them. Big brother Xia, don't be impulsive. As the saying goes, know yourself and know your enemy, and you will always be victorious. That's right. If we act rashly, we will fall into the other party's trap. It's possible that we will be wiped out. That's right. It won't be too late to act after we find out the strength of the 5 major races. The Crow of Misfortune and the other demons hurriedly dissuaded Xia Ping from acting rashly. Otherwise, if Xia Ping really rushed forward like a fool, he would definitely implicate them. That's right. What if the other party outnumbers us? With just our strength, we will just be sending ourselves to the other party. Maybe those guys want us to deal with them and want to wait for us to come. Tu Linglong wanted to bite this bastard human who was full of fighting and killing. Didn't he know what the situation was now? This was the territory of the 5 major races. Wasn't it courting death to want to cause trouble in their territory? Xia Ping touched his chin. Well, what you said is very reasonable. Then I will temporarily spare those guys' lives. I will deal with them in the future. He thought about it and compromised. He would wait until he found out the specific situation of the 5 major races. Otherwise, it would be quite troublesome if an old king-tier monster suddenly appeared. After all, he was not with the Radiant God at the moment. Instead, he was in the villa on the giant island undergoing modifications and upgrades. He did not have the means to kill kings, so it was better to be more cautious. Of course, he was wearing the universal protective suit, so he was not very afraid of the kings of the 5 major races appearing. As long as it was not an invincible king, he had nothing to fear. It was said that this world severely suppressed the power of the 5 major races. It was extremely difficult to break through, so it was impossible for powerful beings like invincible kings to appear. Hearing this, many of the monsters heaved sighs of relief. As long as this human did not cause trouble and cause them to fall into the water, that would be for the best. However, these 5 major races are so arrogant, and I can't take this lying down. I want to personally go out and see what gives them the confidence to provoke me. Xia Ping clenched his fists. What? Chapter 957. Ha! The Crow of Misfortune and the other demons had just entered the cave, and when they saw Tu Linglong and Qing Wan, their pupils constricted, and they couldn't help but cry out. That was because such clothes really surprised them. In their eyes, Qing Wan, who had always been dignified and elegant, had never worn such clothes. However, it had to be said that it had a unique flavor and it could make people turn into wolves. As for Tu Linglong, it was really too suitable for her. She had a pretty face, just like a little maid who was used to being bullied by her master. Ah! Qing Wan and Tu Linglong didn't expect to encounter demons of the same race at this time, and they were suddenly seen in such a shameful scene. If there was a hole in the ground now, they simply couldn't wait to crawl into it, and they would be so embarrassed that they couldn't face anyone. The 2 beautiful faces suddenly blushed, and their beauty was indescribable. It was as if the dim cave had become much brighter, and they were like goddesses under the moon. What do you want? Xia Ping was calm and composed, as if he was completely unaware of what was happening around him, and he seemed to be used to it. Beast human. Both Qing Wan and Tu Linglong cursed in their hearts. Such a shameful thing had clearly happened, but he still acted as if nothing had happened. His skin was simply too thick. Compared to this guy's skin, that little bit of martial arts talent was simply a fart. If there was a divine skill of being thick-skinned in this world, he would definitely be a first-class expert, the kind that even a nuclear bomb couldn't penetrate. Big Brother Xia, the Crow of Misfortune and the other demons looked at each other, then at Xia Ping and then at Tu Linglong and Qing Wan. They felt that the atmosphere was very strange and they didn't know what to say. Speak freely if you have anything to say. Of course, if there's nothing important, but you come to disturb me for no reason, I will be very angry, and the consequences will be quite serious. To be honest, when I'm angry, even I am afraid of myself. Xia Ping smiled at the Crow of Misfortune and the other demons. Demon. This human is simply a demon in human skin. Seeing Xia Ping smile, the Crow of Misfortune and the other demons didn't feel any warmth, but instead felt cold all over, as if there was a cold current spreading through their bodies, freezing their bones. They also knew why Xia Ping was so angry. It was definitely because they had come in rashly and disturbed this human's fun. As a result, he vented his anger on them. When they thought up to here, they didn't dare to continue keeping Qinshi in suspense, and it was even to the extent that they didn't dare to evaluate Tu Linglong and Qing Wan's clothes. They could only turn a blind eye to them. The Crow of Misfortune immediately said, "Big Brother Xia, it's like this. Previously, according to your orders, we searched the encampments of the 5 major races, but we found something else." What harvest? Xia Ping raised his eyebrows. He was very interested in this matter. It seems like all 5 major races have been mobilized. The Crow of Misfortune looked at Xia Ping with a strange look in its eyes. They've been searching all over this arcane realm for you, Big Brother Xia. It seems like they want to capture and kill you. It told them that it had been found by these monsters. What? Tu Linglong and Qing Wan were both dumbstruck. This scoundrel had only just entered this trial space not long ago, yet he had already forced the 5 major races to join forces to hunt him down. Just what had this scoundrel done to incur the wrath of the heavens? To be honest, they had only seen Xia Ping deal with the rock giant. They didn't know that he had also dealt with the Blackwood race, and that he had personally killed over 100 of them. It could be said that he had killed many members of the 2 major races, and immediately became the #1 wanted criminal of the 5 major races. If they wanted to kill him, the consequences would be quite severe. They still dare to hunt me down? They've got some guts. Xia Ping clenched his fists. Where are those fellows now? I'll immediately lead an army to annihilate them as a warning to others. He was filled with killing intent, and he planned to lead a group of monsters to find trouble with the 5 major races. He wanted to strike first and gain the upper hand. Led an army? Tu Linglong and Qing Wan were both stunned. What did that mean? Since when did all these monsters become this human's subordinates? Since when could they be ordered around by this fellow as he pleased? Moreover, this matter was caused by this scoundrel. The 5 major races were also looking for trouble with this brat. What right did he have to shamelessly drag them down with him? He was trying to make them take the blame for him. Too shameless. Hearing this, the faces of the Crow of Misfortune and the other monsters turned green. If Xia Ping insisted, they wouldn't be able to refuse even if they wanted to. However, if they were to fight to the death with the 5 major races now, this fellow might be full of vigor, but they might be sacrificed for nothing. No one would cry for them. Big Brother Xia, don't be impulsive. As the saying goes, know yourself and know your enemy, and you will always be victorious. That's right. If we act rashly, we will fall into the other party's trap. It's even possible that we'll be wiped out. That's right. It won't be too late to act after we've investigated the strength of the 5 major races. The Crow of Misfortune and the other monsters hurriedly dissuaded Xia Ping from acting rashly. Otherwise, if Xia Ping really foolishly charged forward, he would definitely implicate them. That's right. What if the other party has the advantage in numbers? With just our strength, we'll just be sending ourselves to the other party. Perhaps those fellows want us to deal with them and wait for them to come. Tu Linglong really wanted to bite this bastard human who only knew how to fight and kill. Did he not know what the current situation was? This was the territory of the 5 major races. Trying to cause trouble in their territory? Wasn't that just courting death? Xia Ping rubbed his chin. Alright, you're all very reasonable. In that case, I'll spare those fellows' lives for now. I'll deal with them in the future. He thought about it and decided to compromise. He would wait until he had investigated the situation of the 5 major races first. Otherwise, it would be quite troublesome if an old king-tier monster suddenly appeared. After all, he was not with the Radiant God at the moment. Instead, he was staying in the villa on the giant island, undergoing modification and upgrading. He did not have the means to kill kings, so it was better to be more cautious. Of course, he was wearing the universal protective suit, so he was not very afraid of the kings of the 5 major races appearing. As long as it was not an invincible king, he had nothing to fear. It was said that this world severely suppressed the strength of the 5 major races. It was extremely difficult to break through, so it was impossible for an invincible king to appear. Hearing this, many of the monsters heaved sighs of relief. As long as this human did not cause trouble and cause them to fall into the water, that would be for the best. However, these 5 major races are so arrogant. I can't take this lying down. I want to personally go out and investigate. What gives these 5 races the confidence to provoke me? Xia Ping clenched his fists. What? Chapter 958. 1. Who is it? The 3 races were stunned. They had never thought that such a thing would happen. They were just chatting, but the next second the captain of the robot squad was sent flying and was half crippled. Boom. When the dust settled, a figure appeared on the ground. A human? The Blackwood squad leader's pupils shrank as he stared at the human figure on the ground. It was none other than Xia Ping. Who the hell are you? The Hitorigami squad leader also stared at this figure. It instinctively felt that this figure was exuding an extremely dangerous aura. It was like a dormant Tyrannosaurus. Who am I? Hearing this, Xia Ping instantly laughed. Weren't you guys talking about me just now? Have you forgotten? What? The creatures of the 3 races were shocked. The Blackwood squad leader's eyes were filled with murderous intent. You're the human we're hunting? How dare you? You clearly know that we are hunting you, yet you still dare to appear in front of us. Are you really not afraid of death? It had never thought that the human, whom it had thought would take a long time to find, would appear directly in front of them. There was no need to look for him at all. However, it also felt that this human was too arrogant. Did he think that the 5 races were made of mud? He appeared in front of them casually. Did he really think that they were not fast enough to kill people? Of course I'm afraid of death. Who isn't? Xia Ping said matter-of-factly. But with your abilities you can't kill me. He stood with his hands clasped behind his back, looking down on all living beings. He did not care about these aliens at all. Arrogant. I want to see how a puny human like you can be so arrogant in front of me. The Hitorigami squad leader was the first to be unable to stand Xia Ping's arrogant attitude. Whoosh. In an instant, its entire body erupted with a scorching aura. Its 108,000 pores all emitted red flames. Its entire body was like a huge fireball. The surrounding temperature rose rapidly. It seemed that even the air was distorted. Waves of heat rolled, and the water in the surroundings quickly evaporated into water vapor. The weeds and various plants on the ground were quickly evaporated. They quickly withered and turned into withered grass. It seemed that the area within a few miles had become extinct. Drought Demon Clan's ultimate technique, Drought Demon 5 ultimate palms. Hitorigami stretched out his crimson palm. In an instant, layers of palm prints appeared in the air. Each palm print was like a giant hand formed by the convergence of fire energy. Before the attack even reached the enemy, the scorching energy could already harm the enemy's internal organs. It was as if all living things within a radius of several kilometers would be completely cooked. Hell Demon Suppressing Spear. With a bang, Xia Ping instantly took out a treasured artifact, the Hell Spear. He came here to kill demons, not to chat with them. At the same time, in order to prevent these aliens from notifying their companions, he had no intention of playing with them at all. Once he attacked, he gave it his all. In the blink of an eye, a black shadow of a spear pierced out. It was as though a demonic god was wielding a spear to kill the enemy. Time seemed to have stopped at this moment. With the Hell Spear at the center, an aura of hell erupted out, as though the gates of hell had been summoned, and countless gods and devils were trying to rush out. What is this? The Hitorigami team leader was horrified. It realized that the extremely violent fire energy of its Hitorigami 5 ultimate palms was enough to evaporate the water in the bodies of all living things, but it seemed to have no effect on this human. It was as though this human was very happy to bathe in such violent and scorching energy, as though he was soaking in a hot spring. Moreover, the opponent's spear was like the descent of a demonic god, erupting with a terrifying aura. It was as though a mountain was pressing down on it, suppressing its soul, making it almost unable to move. Dong. The tip of the hell's spear instantly pierced through its blood-colored hand, creating a large vortex. The lava-like energy could not harm the spear at all. This was also very normal. After all, this hell spear was a weapon that appeared in hell. It had once bathed in the lava of hell. How could a mere Hitorigami fire harm this weapon? Arg! The Hitorigami team leader let out a shrill scream. Its right hand was pierced on the spot. Intense pain spread throughout its body as though it was being bitten by ants. What frightened it the most was that the aura of hell seeped out from the tip of the spear. It was like a strange kind of gang chi, and it instantly permeated its body. This forced it to use a large amount of energy to resist the aura of hell. This also caused it to lose more than half of its strength, and it could not unleash much of its strength. Bang! Xia Ping slapped the Hitorigami team leader with the back of his hand, immediately sending it flying hundreds of meters away. It smashed through dozens of trees, making cracking sounds, and splinters of wood flew everywhere. In the end, the Hitorigami team leader could not help but spit out a mouthful of blood. It smashed into a rock, and dozens of bones in its body were broken. It was in extreme pain. How can he be so strong? The Hitorigami team leader was extremely shocked. Previously, it had looked down on this human that was being hunted. It thought that the 5 major races were making a big fuss over a minor issue. It even thought that the Blackwood race was extremely weak, and that was why they were beaten to such a state by a puny human. However, after experiencing this human's attack, it instantly felt that this human was an extremely great threat. This was a terrifying monster in human skin. If they did not get rid of this human, they would not be able to eat or sleep in peace. Let's attack together and kill it. The Blackwood team leader shouted angrily. It saw the opportunity and ordered the soldiers of the 3 major races to surround and attack Xia Ping. The soldiers of the 3 major races looked at each other and instantly attacked. They were all elites and naturally knew how terrifying this human who had killed their team leader with a single move was. The Blackwood race was the first to attack. Dozens of elite soldiers rushed over, and tree branches were like tentacles and also like accurate missiles. They rained down from the sky, sealing off all of Xia Ping's escape routes. It was as if thousands of missiles were launching a blanket attack on an area. Next was the machine race. Their bodies immediately changed shape and they were like transformers. From every corner of their bodies, extremely sharp blades grew out. At this moment they were like blade monsters. They spun crazily and saber light flashed. Terrifying saber chi burst out, and like a storm, it swept over, wanting to mince Xia Ping into pieces. And the most violent was the Hitorigami race. Dozens of Hitorigami elites leaped around like zombies, revealing their ferocious fangs and sharp poisonous black nails. Chapter 959. Star Attraction Technique. In the face of the elite soldiers of the Blackwood race, Hitorigami race, and the mechanical race, Xia Ping was not in a hurry. He took a step forward and displayed the supreme technique he had obtained from the Star sect, Star Attraction Technique. This was not only a cultivation technique, but it was also an extremely powerful battle technique. He had fused this cultivation technique with the pure yang immortal art, allowing him to unleash an incredible power. Rumble at this moment, the whole sky seemed to dim as if it had fallen into the night. Countless flickering stars appeared in the sky. With Xia Ping's body as the center, an extremely terrifying suction was produced. Like the nucleus of a star, it drew the energy of countless stars in the sky. The stars in the sky seemed to fall at this moment. However, these were not ordinary stars. They were the sun stars that contained the essence of the sun. They were surrounded by terrifying flames and emitted an extremely hot aura. After reaching the 7th heaven of Supreme Power Realm, Xia Ping was more comfortable with using Gang Chi and could control more star energy. In just an instant, hundreds of sun stars fell from the sky, covering an area. Damn, what the hell is this? This is a bit against the rules. He can actually attract the power of the stars. What is the origin of this human? Abnormal. This human is too abnormal. It doesn't make sense at all. The elite soldiers of the Blackwood race, Hitorigami race, and the mechanical race were all stunned. Originally, they planned to chase after Xia Ping aggressively and kill him. Who would have thought that the stars falling from the sky would cause a natural disaster? In the face of such a natural disaster, how could ordinary creatures resist it? But now, even if they wanted to dodge, it was impossible because the speed at which these stars fell was so fast that they could not react. Immediately, hundreds of stars fell, just like meteorites hitting the ground, carrying extremely terrifying collision energy. The airflow was repelled, forming a vacuum area. Bang! Bang! In an instant, hundreds of holes appeared on the ground, which were smashed by the stars. Each hole was hundreds of meters in diameter. The scene was amazing, just like the surface of the moon. The earth trembled and the shockwaves spread out for 5 kilometers. Trees and boulders were all reduced to dust. The mountains shook and the earth quaked. In fact, some of the smaller mountains in the distance looked like they were going to collapse. On the ground, Heimu, Hitorigami, and the machine race were in a miserable state. They bore the brunt of the attack and were immediately smashed into smithereens by the stars in the sky. Their bodies exploded and they died tragically. Some didn't die, but they were burned to death by the flames on the stars. They turned into fireballs and after a few breaths they were burned into charcoal. Damn it, is he still human? The monsters lurking around the forest, waiting for Xiaoping's orders, including the Cyan Luan, the Crow of Misfortune, Tu Linglong and the Metal Tiger, were all stunned. According to the original plan, they would first wait for Xiaoping to test the strength of these demons. If they were weak, everyone would swarm forward and capture all of them. They would then torture them and force out information. If his strength was extraordinary with Xiaoping's speed, he could easily escape and everyone could retreat. But now what was going on? It was just a test and this guy attacked and beat them half to death and half crippled. He was being unreasonable. The Crow of Misfortune and the other monsters suddenly felt that they were a burden and were purely here to watch the show. This? Corinne, who was staying in the Smart Brain, was speechless when he saw this scene. This indigenous human has not practiced star guiding art for a long time, but he can actually fuse star guiding art with other cultivation techniques and increase the power by several times. This could no longer be described as a genius, he was simply an evildoer. He had seen many disciples recruited by the Myriad Stars sect before, and there was no lack of geniuses among them. After all, they were the disciples of the sage, but he had never seen such an extraordinary one. Not to mention that this kid was purely self-taught and had no master to teach him. This was even more abnormal. What are you waiting for? Let's go together and tie them all up. Xiaoping used this move and attacked most of the monsters until they were half dead. He stood with his hands behind his back and didn't plan to continue attacking. Instead, he ordered the other monsters to attack. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. Hearing this, Cyan Luan, Crow of Misfortune, Metal Tiger, and other monsters immediately rushed out of the jungle and surrounded the soldiers of the 3 major races. Despicable, why is there an ambush? Shameless human, aren't you going to fight with fewer people? Why are you calling for helpers? Lowly human, if you have the guts, tell these helpers to leave and we will fight again. The monsters of the 3 major races were already severely injured by Xiaoping's star guiding art. Their breathing was weak and the 3 captains were almost unable to speak. Now, this kid actually had helpers and their number was almost no less than theirs. How could they fight like this? This was no longer a battle but a one-sided massacre. Fuck you, when you bullied Big Brother Xia, why didn't you talk about Jianghu morality? Now that you are at a disadvantage, you want to talk about Jianghu morality. You want us to leave and fight again? Why don't you kill yourselves and cry for injustice? Stop talking nonsense, let's beat them up first. They chased us before and we were miserable enough. Don't kill them. It's best if they are still breathing. We still have to torture them later. The Crow of Misfortune and the other demons shouted. They were extremely ruthless in their attacks against the demons of the 3 major races. They specifically aimed for their vitals and showed no mercy. Bang, bang, bang. The elite soldiers of the Blackwood race, Machine race, and Hitorigami race were immediately beaten up. From head to toe, almost every vulnerable part of their bodies was hit, and they were beaten until they were on the verge of death. They still had the strength to curse before, but now they could not even make a sound. Big brother, are you satisfied? The Crow of Misfortune came forward and flattered. Half an hour later, all the monsters of the 3 major races were beaten to the point of death. Their hands and feet were tied tightly, and they could hardly move. Not bad. Xiaoping touched his chin and said, but don't kill them. I am very interested in the plan of the 5 major races. It seems to be very dangerous. You have to find out quickly. He had been lying in ambush beside these aliens and heard the conversation of the 3 captains. He knew that the 5 major races seemed to be carrying out a dangerous plan. Once it was successful, the demon race of the Cloud Realm would be in danger of extinction. Don't worry, big brother. We will definitely find out about this. We will not miss anything. The Crow of Misfortune and other monsters were murderous. After all, the plan of the 5 major races was aimed at the demon race. Chapter 960. Half an hour later. The Crow of Misfortune and the other monsters came to Xia Ping's side with serious expressions. What's wrong? Did you get any news? Xia Ping asked. The Crow of Misfortune nodded. After a round of torture, although they were reluctant at first, a few of them couldn't stand the torture and confessed some things. They are building the ancestral altar. At this point, its expression suddenly became serious and it couldn't help but clench its fists. Ancestral altar? Xia Ping blinked, indicating that he didn't know what it meant. The so-called ancestral altar, as the name suggests, is an altar to worship the ancestors. The Crow of Misfortune explained, but this kind of altar is not only used to worship the ancestors, but most importantly, it has the function of blood connection. They can contact each other through the ancestral altar and resonate with each other, no matter how far away they are. It indicated that the monster race also had a similar method. By building the ancestral altar, they could contact the same tribes scattered in all corners of the world. Moreover, this kind of communication could not be stopped at all. It was an extremely advanced method of communication, more powerful than electromagnetic, radio, and other means of communication. However, it was not easy to build an ancestral altar. First, a lot of precious materials were needed. Second, enough race blood was needed, and the power of faith accumulated over a long period of time. When these 3 factors were added together, a successful ancestral altar could be built. Once it was successful, the ancestral altar could contact the ancestral altars scattered in all corners of the universe, and even communicate with each other. Big brother Xia, we must stop this. Yes, once the 5 races successfully build the ancestral altar, we will be finished. Indeed, if they contact their race companions in the universe and let those companions go to Cloud Realm, how can we resist? According to the records of the Wanyao Mountain, the 5 great clans are considered extremely powerful in the universe. Even when the Cloud World was at its peak, the 5 great clans were afraid of them, let alone the Wanyao Mountain that has already declined. It is simply impossible to resist the invasion of the 5 great clans. The Crow of Misfortune and the other monsters looked very solemn. They all knew the seriousness of this matter. If it was not handled well, they might really die. No one knew how powerful the 5 races were in the universe. Perhaps they could casually send an army to wipe out all living beings in the Cloud Realm dozens of times over. Hearing this, Xia Ping's eyes also revealed a trace of cold light. If the companions of the 5 clans really came from the universe, then it would not only be a matter of the Wanyao Mountain, but also a matter of the creatures of the entire Cloud Realm. After all, he couldn't guess what the 5 races were thinking. Even if the main culprit that caused the creatures of the 5 great races to be imprisoned in the cage was the Wanyao Mountain, who knew whether or not they would vent their anger on the humans. Even if they didn't vent their anger on him, would they want to occupy this mysterious land in the universe after seeing the existence of the Cloud Realm? In this way, a serious conflict with the humans was inevitable. This ancestral altar, where were they built? Xia Ping asked. The Crow of Misfortune immediately said, it's at the peak of the tallest mountain in this secret realm. This mountain is called Ancient Turtle Mountain, it's 13,000 meters tall. It said that the altar was usually built on the top of the mountain. That place had a wide field of vision and there was nothing blocking it. At the same time, it gathered rich chi of heaven and earth, and could also receive the power of the stars in the sky. It was an excellent place to build an altar. Then what are we waiting for? Go and destroy that altar immediately. Xia Ping immediately said. Things like this that could threaten the peace and safety of the humans would be destroyed immediately. He would never give the other party a chance to make a big mistake. We also want to destroy it, but according to these monsters, the altar is heavily guarded, and there are even King Realm monster kings around. If we dare to destroy it, we will die. Metal Tiger said helplessly, indicating that there were monster kings around the altar. They really wanted to go and destroy that damn altar immediately, but the existence of monster kings made them retreat. After all, Monster King Realm cultivators were too powerful. For small monsters like them who were only at the Master Realm, if they dared to enter the altar built by the other party, they would definitely be killed and even their souls would be destroyed. Monster Kings. Xia Ping clenched his fists. Cultivators of this level were much more powerful than Master Realm cultivators. They were simply two different levels of existence and could not be mentioned in the same breath. If he did not rely on the power of the super spaceship and the power of technology, he could only run away in the face of such a terrifying expert. Now that Xiaoping did not have a spaceship with him, it was very difficult to fight against a Monster King. Not to mention that there was not only one Monster King among the 5 major races. There might be more than 5 or even more. Haha, do you know fear now? Hearing these words, Hidorigami said proudly, "We are about to finish building the altar, and soon we will be able to contact our companions in the depths of the universe. When the army comes, none of you can escape. I advise you to surrender now. Don't continue to resist stubbornly. Release us, provide us with good food and drink, and treat us like your ancestors. When our companions in the depths of the universe arrive, you may still have a chance to live and be our slaves. Otherwise, you will definitely die without a burial place, never to be reincarnated." It was arrogant as if it had Xiaoping and the others under its control. Dong. Xiaoping made a move and knocked out the Hidorigami team leader with a punch. His head was red and swollen. "Imprison all these monsters," Xiaoping ordered. "Imprison?" The Green One raised a doubt. "I heard that the metal machinery race has a mysterious electromagnetic wave connection between them. If they are placed beside us, I'm afraid they will discover us and expose our location." She felt that once their location was exposed to the 5 major races, they might really be wiped out by the Great Army. Therefore, she hoped to kill all the captives of the 3 major races to prevent future troubles. Damn, a woman's heart is the most vicious. Hearing these words, the captives of the Blackwood race, Hidorigami race, and Machinery race all cursed in their hearts. Their faces turned green. If Xiaoping really listened to this bitch, wouldn't they all be dead? Chapter 961. Human, don't listen to this bitch. Her heart is black even if you dig it out. She's very vicious. A Drought Crow soldier hurriedly shouted. He hoped that Xiaoping would be wise and not listen to the pillow talk of this treacherous concubine. This was basically a harem interfering in politics. The consequences were rather severe. "That's right. Leave us here. We're very useful." A Blackwood soldier wailed. "That's right. We robots don't have that so-called mysterious connection at all. This is just a rumor." The robot soldiers expressed that they were very obedient and had no way of communicating with other robot soldiers. They all hoped that Xiaoping would think twice. "Don't worry." Xiaoping stood with his hands behind his back and said calmly, "I won't kill you. A good person like me is hard to find in this world." He put on a look as if he was a good person. "Human, thank you. Thank you so much. I knew humans were good creatures, unlike these demons. They're all cunning and evil. They're no different from their ancestors. All of them are so bad that they're oozing pus." The creatures of the 3 major races all said gratefully. They lashed out at the demons and gritted their teeth. Clearly they hated Xiaoping to the core and had a blood feud with him. However, they also hated Xiaoping to the core. Once their companions came, they would definitely capture this human and tear him to pieces to vent their hatred for being captured and humiliated. However, on the surface they were still submissive, as if they had been completely suppressed by Xiaoping. Hearing this, the Crow of Misfortune and the other demons were all infuriated. They wanted nothing more than to beat up the creatures of the 3 major races and teach them a lesson. "You're too polite. There's no need to be so polite here." Xiaoping waved his hand. "You're still very useful. Men, lock them up. Yes, lock them up in this cave. Also hide these nuclear bombs around the cave. If other demons come to help, take the opportunity to press the button and destroy them all in one fell swoop." He took out a lot of miniature nuclear bombs from his body, which were stored in his spatial ring. After all, he always kept quite a number of such conventional weapons. Once he used them, he would immediately buy them to replenish them. After all, this amount of money was nothing to Xiaoping. What? Upon hearing these words, the creatures of the Blackwood race, Hidorigami race, and the Machine race were all dumbfounded. Fuck his grandpa. No wonder this bastard human was so polite to them and even said that he wouldn't kill them. It turned out that he was planning to use them as bait to attract more of his companions and kill them all at once. Bastard, this human was even more vicious than that female demon. He was 100 times more vicious. They were basically in cahoots with each other. To think that they thought this human was good and had some humanity. Now that they saw it, they really wanted to slap themselves. They had actually praised this human who knew how many times. It was really too embarrassing. Yes, big brother Xia. When the crows of misfortune and the other demons heard that, their eyes lit up. Without needing Xia Ping's instructions, they went forward one by one, captured the demons and placed them in the cave. At the same time, they also took the miniature nuclear bombs that Xia Ping handed over and placed them in various corners of the cave to maximize their power. Once they exploded, they would be able to send the monsters flying and none of them would be able to escape. Bitch, let us go. Let us go immediately. A Blackwood demon struggled and shouted. Demon human, you actually want to use us as bait to attract your companions? Why is your heart so black? What grudge do we have with you? Our companions will never be fooled. You should give up on this idea. Hurry up and let us go. Otherwise, when our plan succeeds, all of you will die. You will die. Do you understand? The demons of the three major races all shouted crazily. Gag their mouths. It's very noisy. Xia Ping said lazily. Yes, big brother Xia. The crows of misfortune and the other demons nodded and moved in a flurry. They stuffed their smelly socks directly into the mouths of the demons, blocking their mouths so that they could no longer speak nonsense. This demon. Tu Linglong was dumbfounded. If they were clearly here for the trial, how did this abominable human carry so many miniature nuclear bombs with him? How could he let them live? What made her blush the most was that in addition to carrying nuclear bombs, this beast actually brought 2 sets of maid costumes. Oh my god, what is this human thinking? Does he have any shame? An hour later, Xia Ping and the others returned to the original secret cave. As for the captured demons of the 3 major races, they stayed in another place. If any demons came to rescue them, the demons lying in ambush in that place would immediately detonate the miniature nuclear bombs, killing all the demons and reducing the enemy's strength. This is a little troublesome. Xia Ping touched his chin. The plan just now was just child's play. Even if they killed some demons, it would not help the overall situation. The most important thing now was to stop the construction of the ancestor altar of the 5 major races. Once the plan of the 5 major races succeeded, the entire human race in the Cloud Realm would be in danger. At that time, this group of cruel alien army would press on the border. Who knew how many people would be killed or injured? Perhaps the entire human race in the Cloud Realm would be enslaved. The problem was that it was very difficult to destroy the ancestor altar of the 5 major races. The other party still had king-level cultivators guarding that place. If they rashly went there, they would simply be courting death. It seems that I have to enhance my strength as soon as possible. Otherwise, I won't be able to destroy the plan of the 5 major races. A sense of urgency surged in Xia Ping's heart. He wanted to enhance his strength as soon as possible. Although the strength of the 7th heaven of Supreme Power Realm was considered good, there was still a certain gap compared with the king-level cultivators. However, he had just advanced and his martial arts foundation had not been completely stabilized. It was still difficult for him to advance again. He had to spend a lot of time honing his martial arts skills and stabilizing his martial arts foundation in order to make a breakthrough. I still lack time. Xia Ping clenched his fists. Stupid. At this time, Corinne suddenly jumped out and reprimanded, "Since you realize this, why don't you log on to the Universe Virtual Network? Isn't the existence of this thing to assist your cultivation?" The Universe Virtual Network. Hearing this, Xia Ping's eyes suddenly lit up. It was true. 10 days in the virtual network was equivalent to 1 day in the real world. Moreover, there was not much difference between cultivating in the virtual network and cultivating in the real world. Chapter 962. Xia Ping stayed in a cave and got into a closed-door training state. Then, he used the AI to log into the Universe Virtual Network. Even in this secret world, there was no way to stop him from logging into the virtual network. There was still a good signal. Whoosh. In the next second, his figure appeared in the novice village of the Martial Path space. It was the same square as last time, and the surroundings were incomparably wide. At this time, there were many little boys and little Lolas around the square. They were punching with vigor and vigor, displaying extremely exquisite moves. Every punch and kick produced a whistling sound. The power of the fists was endless and extremely shocking. From afar they looked like little beasts in human form. After so many days, those who wanted to find trouble with Xia Ping had left one after another. After all, they couldn't just stay here and guard this place. They had their own things to do. If Xia Ping didn't appear for a year, wouldn't they have to wait here for a year? Therefore, when this group of people saw that Xia Ping didn't appear for such a long time, they thought that Xia Ping had already absconded with the money. Therefore, they didn't send anyone to stay here and let this group of children re-enter the virtual network to receive training in the novice village. Look, that Aboriginal Big Brother is here. Suddenly, a little loli in the crowd saw Xiaoping appear in this place, and immediately shouted loudly. It really is the Aboriginal Big Brother. He appeared again. Don't go near him. My mom said that he's a big liar. Yeah, my sister also said that the Aboriginal is a super liar. Good children must not go near him or they will definitely be cheated of all their money. Previously, because of this liar Aboriginal, my mom beat me up. My butt hurts. She even said that the Wang family had such a stupid child. Many children looked at Xiaoping in fear as if they were looking at a plague. All of them retreated and stopped their morning training. Hello everyone. Xiaoping walked up and greeted the many children. Not good, we are not good at all. Liar Aboriginal, hurry up and return our hard-earned money. The little Lolis Yijia rushed up angrily. She puffed up her cheeks and put her hands on her hips. Her big eyes were watery. Who told you I'm a liar? Xiaoping revealed a look of being wronged. My sister said so. The little loli Yijia said with her hands on her waist. I heard it from my father. I heard it from my mother. My brother said it. The little boys and Lolis answered obediently. Xiaoping nodded and asked, Then I want to ask, are the words of your sister, your father, your mother, and your brother always right? This. The little loli Yijia was stunned and she did not know what to say. Many little Lolis and young boys were dumbfounded. That's right, are the words of their parents and sisters always correct? If it's not right, could it be wrong? The little loli Yijia revealed a confused expression. Xiaoping asked, Why must what they say be correct? I'll give you an example. Have you ever been forced to eat food you don't like? Have you ever been forced to wake up early every morning? Have you ever been forced to learn martial arts seriously? Did you think it was the right thing to do then? He looked at the many children. Yes, I was once forced to eat green peppers. I obviously don't like to eat green peppers, but the bad mother always forced me to eat it, saying that it is good for the body. A little boy said angrily. That's right, me too. I obviously want to sleep in every morning, but I'm always forced to wake up. It's too much. As a child, I have dark circles under my eyes. A little loli also agreed with this point. That's right. They also said that we children should go to bed early every day, and they never let us play until late. They also limited the time we can watch TV, but they watch TV until late. This is simply a double standard. Why can adults do whatever they want? A group of children protested, their faces were filled with anger. So, now you know that what they said might not be true. Xiaoping spread out his hands. Truth be told, if you don't like to eat green peppers, then don't eat them. What's wrong with being picky about food? It's fine as long as you eat your fill. If you want to sleep in, then sleep in. If you don't get enough sleep, how can you attend class seriously and study properly? When the time comes, you will still doze off in class, affecting your learning efficiency. So, you are the right thing to do and your parents are the wrong thing to do. Hearing this, the group of children came to a sudden realization. They looked at Xiaoping as if they were looking at a confidant. Big brother native, I feel that what you said makes a lot of sense. What you've said has really struck a chord in my heart. Those bad parents don't understand our feelings at all. Only you do. Native big brother, you are simply a talent. You speak so well. I like being with you the most. The group of little kids looked at Xiaoping with admiration. They felt that Xiaoping was a roundworm in their hearts and knew everything. To be honest, I'm not criticizing your parents. I'm just making a suggestion. Their education has long been outdated. This era has been tens of thousands of years old. It's rotten and disappointing. This way you will move forward in the wrong life. Xiaoping stood with his hands behind his back and sighed to the sky. But it doesn't matter. You are still young. You can still turn around in time. I can give you some guidance in life which will benefit you a lot. The group of children did not say anything. They looked at Xiaoping eagerly, hoping to benefit from it. Humans are creatures. As long as they are serious, they can do anything. Xiaoping said carelessly, Of course, it doesn't matter if you can't do it because it's not your fault at all. It's the fault of this society. Anyway, just push all the responsibility to society. It's all its fault. You are not wrong. When you encounter something annoying, difficult, or hesitant, just run away. Running away is not a shameful thing. It's just a strategic retreat. At this time, running away is victory. Reaping without sowing is the right thing. What's wrong with daydreaming? What's wrong with sitting back and enjoying the fruits of others' labor? There are good things like meat pies falling from the sky. Just accept it with peace of mind. In short, you just have to remember one thing. It will never be us who are wrong. It's the fault of this society and the fault of this universe. Push the responsibility to them and we can be relaxed forever. This is the law of ease in life. After learning it, you will definitely benefit a lot in the future. That you're tuning in to the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.